As the world of work continues to evolve, it's clear there is much we still don't know. But one thing is certain, the nature of work, the what, the why, and the where has changed forever. Gone are the days of normal. Now, organizations are looking inwards and re-evaluating their core functions to adapt to this new landscape.
A very warm good morning, everyone. On behalf of ZIMAR, the HR Association of School of Human Resource Management, XIM University, I, Jahanvi Saluja, and my colleague Dwipayan Mishra, first-year students of School of Human Resource Management, extend a warm welcome to you all for Kshitij 2022. I would like to acknowledge the presence of some of our eminent guests today. We have with us Father S. Anthony Raj S.J., Registrar, XIM University, Dr. Shantanu Rath, President, NHRDN Bhubaneswar Chapter, and Director, Orissa Water Academy, who will be joining us in the post-lunch session, Dr. B.K. Das, Director General, Electronics and Communication System, DRDO, Dr. Sunil Singh, CHRO, Stellar Value Chain Private Limited, and Founder and CEO, Mindstream Consulting, Ms. Bobby Patnaik, Vice President, NHRDN Bhubaneswar Chapter, and HR Business Leader, Infosys, Dr. Andrew Datta, respected Dean of School of Human Resource Management, XIM University. I now request the dignitaries to kindly be seated on the dais. It is also our privilege to welcome our esteemed panel members, Ms. Renu Bohra, Chief People Officer, India and the Indian Subcontinent, DB Schenker, India Private Limited, Mr. Satish Mahapatra, VP and Head HR, Siemens Smart Infrastructure, Mr. Amitabh Singh, Head Business HR, Leadership and Capability Development, ICICI Bank, Ms. Lipika Verma, Vice President, Rewards and Performance, Innovation and Thought Leadership, Schneider Electric. I would also like to take this opportunity to welcome our moderator, Dr. G.P. Rao, Founder, Good People Relations, HR Consulting LLP, and our esteemed guests from NHRDN Bhubaneswar Chapter, respected deans of other schools of XIM University, faculty members, case competition teams, members of the media, and other guests who have been invited in this event today, and my dear seniors and batchmates. I take the privilege to welcome you all to this grand event.
Kshitij 2022 is the annual flagship event of ZIMAR, which brings together illustrious leaders from the field of HR under one roof to discuss the current trends in HR, generating engaging and unique insights. The event bridges the gap between academia and industry by enabling the students to acquaint themselves with real-time industry practices, thereby enlightening the inquisitive and young minds. In an attempt to carry forward the legacy, we have come up with yet another topical theme. The theme for this year's Kshitij is Changing Work and Workplace Implications for Businesses. The relationship between employees and workplace is changing in ways such that organizations need to invest seriously in helping people navigate through their vision of the hybrid workplace and the changes it is bringing to the physical workplace. We will first dive deep into the topic to understand the implication for businesses brought around by changing work and workplaces through a stimulating panel discussion between eminent industry leaders who are here with us today to invigorate our young minds with
Recording
their
in
insights.
progress.
We are very grateful to them for taking the time out of their busy schedules to address our students. We will learn more about our speakers as we proceed to the panel discussion. Following the panel discussion, we will have a case study competition to understand the underlying dynamics of changing work and workplace, wherein 11 teams will present their solutions to the problem statement.
I request Dr. Moshmi Pari, Associate Dean, School of Human Resource Management, to kindly welcome our guests by presenting a sapling. I now invite the dignitaries on the dais to mark the beginning of this year's Kshitij by lighting the auspicious lamp that symbolizes knowledge and wisdom.
शुभं कुरु त्वां कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरु त्वां कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमस्तु ते दीपज्योतिर्नमस्तु ते शुभं कुरु त्वां कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः दीपज्योतिर्परं ब्रह्म दीपज्योतिर्जनार्दनः दीपज्योतिर्परं ब्रह्म दीपज्योतिर्जनार्दनः दीपो हरतु मे पापं सन्ध्यादीपनमस्तु ते
Thank you all. Special thanks to Ms. Arundhati Das for the shloka chanting. I would now request Dr. Andrew Datta, Dean, School of Human Resource Management, XIM University, to deliver the opening address.
Thank you, Janvi and Deepayan. Respected Vice Chancellor, XIM University, Father Anthony R. Uveri, SJ, in absentia. Our Registrar, Father S. Anthony Raj, SJ. Chief Finance Officer, Father V. Arokyadas, SJ, in absentia. All the respected dignitaries on the dais for the day, invited panelists and moderator, faculty colleagues and students. It is my great honor to make the opening remarks on Kshitij 22 with the theme Changing Work and Workplace Implications for Business. Kshitij is the country's premier MBA HRM student event, and this year with the NHRD Network Bhubaneswar chapter as co-creator and partner for Kshitij 22, the Indian HR fraternity is all set to witness some of the finest brainwaves that will permeate the HR space in the next few hours. As I stand here to give my opening remarks, I find that the pre-pandemic world of work was politely predictable. Today's post-pandemic world of work is heading towards unplanned but guaranteed disruptions. Let us look at two reports. The Living Planet report, published this year by World Wide Fund and the Zoological Society of London, points out that since 1970 till date, we human beings have wiped out 69% of world animal population. And as I am speaking, we continue to clear forests, consume beyond the limits of the planet, and pollute on an industrial scale. So in my view, the changing work and workplace is now no longer within the small ambit of cosmetic sustainability initiatives and fashionable OD interventions of the traditional HR. The changing work and workplace will be a function of the ecological imbalances that will alter human lives, livelihood, and businesses in another 5 to 10 years. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change and proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences have predicted significant climate catastrophes, given the fact that weather modification technologies are being used by a few rogue nations as warfare techniques. In the words of Dr. Luke Kemp at the University of Cambridge's Center for Study of Existential Risk, I quote, "Paths to disaster are not limited to the direct impacts of high temperatures, such as extreme weather events. Knock-on effects, such as financial crisis, conflict, and new disease outbreaks could trigger other calamities," unquote. How today's HR will prepare and protect against these knock-on effects will determine how the fortunes of corporations rise or fall. The world of work for people resources and HR managers will have to be acculturated to manage the meaningful lives of employees amid such ecological imbalances and natural catastrophes. And these will not be one-off events. If you can keep account of the number of cyclones that started in the Bay of Bengal in the last 5 years and hit the Indian East Coast, you will surely understand why one country is so keen on taking control over South China Sea and what it means for our businesses, logistics, politics, military, and probable human resource crisis. The changing work and workplace cannot remain immune from such targeted chaos, and the HR field will have to rise far above the simplistic modalities of rewards and motivational tactics or short-term people initiatives. There are fundamental changes that have already started taking shape in the world of work that requires radical changes in the way we manage business and people. Incremental changes will be outpaced by disruptions. In the words of Blair Shepard, global leader, strategy and leadership development at PwC, I quote, "For students, it's not just about acquiring knowledge, but about how to learn. For the rest of us, we should remember that intellectual complacency is not our friend and that learning is a lifelong endeavor," I unquote. The domain of HR and people operations must give up reactionary incremental changes and build in programs that are preemptive of global disruptions that impact the lives of their employees, or better still, organizational members. Automations and machines are replacing many jobs. Many people think that only the poor and uneducated are being replaced. The fact is that in a few years, everyone will be replaceable. Artificial intelligence is today's history. Today's reality is assisted intelligence. Tomorrow's reality is augmented intelligence. And the near future belongs to autonomous intelligence, where adaptive continuous intelligence systems take over decision making. Does the HR of today know what that would mean for work and workplace changes? Are we shaping young minds to manage and drive that reality? HR professionals will therefore have to balance and trade off between business fragmentation and corporate integration, and manage at the same time focus on individual wants and work-life customization versus prevalence of common good without losing an eye on fairness and equality. Organizations and individuals will race to give consumers what they want. Innovation will outpace regulation. Digital platforms will give outsized reach and influence to those with a winning idea. Specialists and niche profit makers will only flourish. This will be the nature of changing workplace and work, my friends. I sincerely hope that this Kshitij 22 will mark the eye-opening of the HR fraternity to gear up and be prepared for the tidal changes that have already started taking shape in work and workplace. On behalf of the School of HRM and XIM University, I wish each one of you a successful Kshitij 22 and a warm welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your enlightening words. Now, I invite Father S. Anthony Raj S.J., respected Registrar, XIM University, to please deliver the welcome and the inaugural address.
Respected Dean, Professor Andrew Datta, respected Associate Dean, Professor Maushmi, respected Faculty Coordinator for the event, Professor Shubhra, respected dignitaries on the dais, respected NHRDN team members represented here by, at this moment, by Ms. Bobby Patnaik, faculty colleagues from the School of Human Resource Management, respected deans from other schools, faculty colleagues from other schools of our XIM University, friends from the media, my dear students, especially the students who have come both offline and online for the case competition. In the name of our Vice Chancellor and on behalf of the entire academic community of XIM University, it is my privilege and honor to welcome each one of you, especially the guests, the keynote speakers, the two keynote speakers, our esteemed panelists and the moderator, and each one of you to this event, Kshitij 22, on the theme, Changing Work and Workplace Implications for Business. First of all, my gratitude and a warm welcome to the NHRDN Bhubaneswar chapter. We have a long association with XIM University and the School of Human Resource Management. We thank you for your long association with us, and especially in sponsoring the case competitions this year, case study competitions this year. My gratitude and congratulations also to our Zima team, Kadambari and the rest of the 10, Arushi, Nivya, Harshita, Harshit, Pallavi, Prerna, Soumya, Bhargavi, Piyush, Akshaya, and all those who worked behind the scenes for putting this event together. Now, we also need to thank our sponsors, the Indian Oil and the MCL, who have been very supportive in this particular event. We also welcome all those who registered for the case study competition, the 700 registrations, and 11 teams which reached the final round, and the 3 teams and 2 could not make it in offline mode, who have joined us at this event. We welcome each one of you. The Dean of our school, Professor Andrew Datta, has very elaborately and very minutely has laid before us what could be the implications for the ever-changing work and the workplace, implications for business. Now, I'm not going to dwell more on that. If change is the only constant, the skill to adapt to this ever-changing reality is the key to survive and thrive in both life and career. So, if at all we do something in a business school, and especially in the School of Human Resource Management, it is to hone your skill to bring to that level of adaptability, adapting to the changes. And we are all too aware of the changes that the COVID syndemic has brought into our life, in the way we live, in the way we work, in the way we recreate. And therefore, especially in the light of what is happening, Professor Andrew very clearly said about the climate changes and what it means, what it could mean for businesses. We need to look at all the extraneous circumstances and possibly even the internal reasons that are very, very intrinsic to businesses themselves that could call us, challenge us to adapt to such changes. I'm sure all our interactions will be very, very productive, and the case study competitions will give us not only the problem statements, but also bring about those answers which we seek at this moment. And therefore, my sincere wishes and my prayers for the success of this event. God bless us all.
Thank you, Father, for your kind words. I would like to introduce to you all Ms. Bobby Patnaik, who is an HR business leader at Infosys and also holds the position of Vice President, NHRDN Bhubaneswar Chapter. Ms. Patnaik works with Infosys as HR business leader, managing close to 10,000 employees across the globe for the entire spectrum of HR programs. In addition, she manages HR for the top 55 large and complex business accounts of the organization. She also spearheads the Gender Equity and Inclusivity Program for Infosys India. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us today. I would cordially invite Ms. Patnaik to give us an overview on the topic for the day.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody, esteemed members on the dais and off the dais. I'm no authority on the subject matter at hand for the event today, and I would leave it to the gracious presence of our august dignitaries who are going to be here on the dais for the panel discussion to do the honors. So in my mind, there are 3 events in this month which are kind of the highlight, at least for me. The first one, of course, was the India-Pakistan match where India beat Pakistan in a nail-biting finish. I'm no cricket aficionado myself, but it was impossible to miss the feverish excitement and the hype and the nail-biting finish when Virat Kohli was finishing off the last balls with a flourish. The second, of course, and I know Twitter is going berserk over this, and the jury is still out on this one, is obviously the fact that Rishi Sunak, somebody of Indian origin, becoming the UK Premier. And I know the memes are all over the place, but I'm personally very happy, and not the least because, like somebody said on Twitter, Rishi and I go back a long way. I used to work for his father-in-law's company. So I said, by that logic, I still work for his father-in-law's company. So we go back, still longer. But jokes aside, while different people have different opinions, I'm happy about it. And last but not the least, of course, the bird got freed yesterday, like most of you saw, right? Of course, there are downstream impact of the same, right, with CXO heads rolling off, but we'll leave that for another day. But Elon Musk freeing Twitter, as he said, was the other highlight. I was thinking to myself when I was coming, and it's a long ride, like I was telling Shubhra, I need a move at the end of the day from XUV, but I'm just kidding. But I was thinking to myself that, with the kind of disruption that is going around, the collaboration that we're talking about today between NHRD and XUV, does collaboration really stand a chance? When we were in our management trainee days, and Renu will remember, Renu and I go back a long way. We really go back a long way, not the Rishi Sunak kind of long way. We joined together as management trainees in our earlier organization. VUCA used to be the buzzword. And we felt like we are the cat's whiskers, talking about volatile, complex, all of that, right? By the way, I came to know that VUCA has been substituted by a new acronym now. I don't know how many of you know. I'm sure Dr. Rao would know. It's called BANI, apparently. I thought he would know, and he knows. Which stands for something like brittle, anxious, non-linear, and incomprehensible. Incomprehensible, I totally get. But anyway. So, but compared to the VUCA that we are undergoing today, the VUCA when we joined in the 90s is nothing, right? The kind of disruption that we saw in the pandemic. To give you a personal example, Infosys is in many ways a very, how would I say, for lack of a better word, a conservative organization, right? We believe in certain things. For example, we have a work from home policy, but we believe in bringing people back to campus prior to the pandemic, right? And then just in the twinkling of an eye, and I'm not exaggerating at all, right? Overnight, we sent people back to work at their homes. We shipped across, I think, close to 3 lakh laptops and computers and modems and what have you, right? It was disruption at a massive scale which was actually incomprehensible, right? And the incomprehension and the disruption continues. If you see the news that I think had come out in the media a week back, we changed our stance on moonlighting, right? If you had told me 2.5 years that Infosys will change its policy on moonlighting, I would have told you, go take a walk. We're extremely, blinkers on approach in certain matters at least, certain policies and processes, but we have flexed our stance. So it is disruption in a very, very big way because that is something very intrinsic to us. So, when I talk about disruptions like this, I was thinking, collaboration, is it something which is kind of other end of the spectrum? Pandemic was all about disruption. And then it also, like a moment of epiphany came to me, that the pandemic, which was probably the biggest symbol of disruption, was also the biggest symbol of collaboration. This 2.5 years, the kind of collaboration that we have done as an organization and many institutions have done is unprecedented. Right from the top person in the organization to somebody in the rank and file, all of us were fighting just to save lives. We were collaborating with hospitals, we were collaborating how to get ambulances to the doorsteps of employees, we were trying to save lives, we were trying to get oxygen cylinders in the middle of the night. Everybody was working, everybody, from the CEO to the HR person was working just to collaborate and ensure we just save lives. So like I think Charles Dickens said, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. For me, the pandemic, while it was the worst of times for obvious reasons, probably also was the best of times since it showed us that, without collaboration, you simply don't have a chance for bigger problems that Professor Andrew Datta spoke about, or for, just surviving in your career, doing best, like Father Uvadi spoke about. Kshitij has been the flagship event for both NHRDN and XIM. In fact, we have collaborated with XIM in the old campus, I think for 2 seasons before we came on to the XUV campus, and we're doing this event today. For me, it is a collaboration which has brought out the best in both NHRD and I'm assuming in XIM. For me, NHRD is a passion. Primarily because long time back somebody had told me that it's important to give back to the profession which gives your livelihood. And so this is my way of giving back to it. I also, in fact, got my job because of NHRD, but we will save that story for another day. So I think before I run away with the microphone and the MCs come and tell me time's up, what I would like to leave you with probably is that, in this era of creative disruption and agile ecosystem of startups and fail fast and all of that, I think all of us have to give collaboration a chance, whether it is collaboration between people, between institutes like the event shows today, or between countries, because that's the only way, in my view, that are so very big differences will then not remain so big. Thank you very much and have a great day.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for enlightening us with your wise words. I would now request Dr. S. Pepin, respected Dean for the School of Governance and Public Affairs and School of Liberal Arts, to do us the honor to introducing our first keynote speaker, Dr. B.K. Das, Director General, Electronics and Communication Systems, DRDO.
A very good morning to all of you. At the outset, I would like to thank Professor Subra Patnaik for giving me this great honor of introducing, I would call Dr. Das a dear friend of ours, not only mine, but the entire XIM University fraternity. Thank you so much, Professor Patnaik. And of course, I am also reminded of our olden days in XIMB when I happened to be the treasurer of NHRDN chapter. And Ms. Bobby Patnaik, as you all know, she is one of the ablest leaders we have in the field of, not only in the field of human resource management, but in managing people and industry as well. And her commitment to NHRDN is truly, truly amazing. And I am not sure if she is not giving the time that is to be given, NHRDN would be what it is today. Thank you, Ms. Patnaik, for your persistent efforts. Right. I'm going to narrate 2 incidents to set the context why I wanted to introduce Dr. Das. About 17 years before, Dr. A.S. Narang, the then director of ITR, came to XIMB and he met Professor Snigdha Patnaik. I'm wondering why she's not here today. All right. Then he told her, look, I'm heading a great organization called Integrated Test Range that is popularly known as ITR, and I have excellent scientists, but they're all busy during the mission time, that whenever they launch a missile, that's what they call mission. But when the mission is over, they don't know what to do. So can you come and do something? So that was a briefing given by Dr. Narang to Professor Patnaik. Then she called me, we are good friends. She said, Papin, what shall we do? There is a demand like this, request like this. Then we met Father Abraham, our then director. Then we told Mr. Narang, we would like to come and have a meeting with all of you. So when we entered his chamber, then we encountered Dr. Das there. Then we thought, he's one of his assistants helping him out, things like that. I mean, we didn't know that he was also a scientist at that time. Right, I'll tell you later. Then in the course of our interactions with Dr. Narang, we felt that Dr. Narang would not do anything without consulting Dr. Das. So that was the first story I wanted to tell you. To say, Dr. Das has been an integral part of the entire management of ITR Chandipur, maybe about 1780 or 20 years before. That is story number one. Story number two, they have an assessment board to promote the scientists. So I happened to be on the panel. It was held in one of the labs in Hyderabad. And Dr. Das was also one of the candidates for his promotion. They have a very interesting system. I wish Dr. Das he could also tell us, because it's very relevant to our HR, not only HR, for all of us, how you promote people, what system that you have in our entire defense establishments. And each candidate was asked to make a 40-minute presentation. And there is a panel of experts, and we were asked to give our views. Of course, I was there from the HR or the OD point of view to give me, because I am not a scientist. And you won't believe, and he stood number one in that entire presentation. I think we should give a big hand to Dr. Das for that. It was an open and highly transparent, exercise wherein all the lab directors whose candidates were there to make a presentation, and Dr. Das was there. So that is my second encounter with him. And thirdly, when he became the director of ITR, then it was he who was after us saying that, look, now that I am at the helm of affairs, can you people come and do? Then, of course, Professor Andrew and myself, along with Professor Kalpana Sahu, we went and signed an MOU, and we are still having the association going, Dr. Das. Right. So with these few words, let me tell you something about him. This is what has been given to me. I thought I would be getting at least 2 pages to read out, but I am just given 2 paragraphs, Dr. Das. That is the humility of that person. Dr. B.K. Das is an outstanding scientist and is currently serving as the Director General for Electronics and Communication System. Means, he's one of the Director Generals, and morning when I met him, I was telling, look, I wish you become the chairman of DRDO one day, which I believe and hope that will happen soon, and that will be the very pride moment for us in Odisha, and of course for the nation as well. Right. Prior to this, he has served as the Director ITR from 2015 to 2020, followed by Director Instruments Research and Development Establishment IRD in Dehradun. In fact, when he went there also, he was in touch with us, and we had some collaboration with him as well. He has also been Director, Defense Electronics and Application Laboratory, which is popularly known as DEAL, DEAL. Dr. Das has been an integral part of the Indian missile program for the past 33 years. I think that is what is very, very important. I do not have the list of missiles that ITR Chandipur launched when he was there working with Dr. Narang, even as the director of ITR Chandipur. Right? I think it is good to have the kind of missiles ITR launched under his leadership. Worked relentlessly towards test and evaluation of various state-of-the-art missile systems. Dr. Das is the holder of Best Graduate Gold Medal and topper of his batch in IIT Kharagpur. Dr. Das, I have coined a small acronym for you, that is EPIC, EPIC. Right, you are an EPIC. E stands for epitome of excellence, and P stands for passionate learner, and I stands for institution builder, and C stands for courageous leader. And I remember when we were using appreciative inquiry as a tool for building the culture of excellence in ITR Chandipur, and he had a dream that, ITR Chandipur should be known as the #1 test range in the world. I think he still holds on to that, and I'm sure when you become the chairman DRDO, that will also happen. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you so much, sir, for this illustrious introduction. I now invite Dr. B.K. Das to deliver the first keynote address.
नमस्कार, जय जगन्नाथ। क्षितिज प्रोग्राम पाई आपण मानकु अशेष अशेष अभिनंदन। Esteemed guests on the dais, Honorable Vice Chancellor in absentia, Father Anthony, the Registrar XIM, Ms. Bobby Patnaik, HR and Business Leader, Infosys, Dr. Sunil Singh, Founder CEO, Mindstream Consultant, Dr. Andrew Datta, Dean XIM, Dr. Subra Patnaik, ma'am, and very important, my teacher, Dr. Pepin, and all the esteemed delegates, all the management gurus, all the media persons, and all those who has built this great institution, XIM, to be in Orissa and giving one reason for Orissa to feel proud of, that we have a great management institute as a part of Orissa. I'd like to address and thank all of them, right from who built this great institution, up to who are running these institutions, and up to those who are dreaming to take these institutions to be one of the best management schools in the world. My salute to all of them. And of course, my dear loving future management gurus, 300, 400, however are sitting out in front of me, and all those who are watching live, and all those who are around the country getting this streamed video. At the outset, I'd like to thank Dr. Pepin and Suvra ma'am for infecting me to come back to this home. Has been so dear to me, XIM, all along. And it's always a great honor when you get introduced by your teacher. Why I say so? The great point which Dr. Pepper narrated here, I have been his student when he came to teach us those beautiful stories. I still remember the lady carrying the pot with a hole there and all along to the destination and comes back, and after years, you get beautiful garden of flowers around. I still remember the story narrated by Dr. Pepin. You know more than me about him. He's a great storyteller. And through the story, he teaches you management. Unknowingly, you become management guru. I think that's the great thing for a great professor. Thank you so much, sir, for what you are. And thanks for patiently going through my biodata. You said it's humility. I still surprised how it has become so long. The day comes, I would like to read my biodata, only my name. Beyond that should not be. That will be the best achievement and the best happiness I will have. Thank you so much. I must always salute the great hero who has been in my life is, all of you know, Dr. Kalam, who has taught me missiles, who has infected me with missiles, and one of the pioneers who made me what I am today. And I always say Dr. Kalam is with me, his wishes are with me, his feelings are with me, and I try to imbibe every single thing for his great contributions to this great Indian Republic. The other day I was in the flight when suddenly I get a message from Subra ma'am saying that there is a program, Kshitij, all of us want you to be here. And these days I keep getting such calls, but this is one which I didn't think. There is something called an instant reaction. Your brain does not work before that your senses work. So my fingers worked before my brain. And I typed it out on WhatsApp that yes, I am coming. And of course, in a while I understood that I have a big Bell board meeting. I am the executive director of the Bell, so I need to attend that. And there is a great guy called Murphy. It works when you don't want him to work. And that's exactly happened on the date of 29th. That's today, and I was to be at Chennai. So I had to say a sorry note that I will not be there. I am explaining how the changes happen and how persons adapt to the changes. She was immediately very fascinated that I am coming, and within 5 minutes she got to know I am not coming. And hats up to her. She adopted the changes very fast and said, sir, it's all right, okay, I understand, I respect your schedules. We will look forward for the next occasion. That's it. But the biggest thing she did, she infected me with XIM. She could come out, I couldn't. I've gone back to Bell, put a word, hats up to them. Meeting got rescheduled. Today morning I was in Chennai, flew back in the early hours, came here, and I'm just able to be standing in front of you. This is what happens. I think there can't be a better change management than this, and I could find a chair there for me. There is a nameplate for me, and my seat is still there. So she has adopted. So I wanted to say two things here. One is called change, and the corollary to that is the adaptability. These two exist together, friends. You are management gurus. I have not come here to teach you management, least in front of my professors. But these are the real life experience which help you to understand what exactly the change is about. And she says, sir, the topic is change management and the change in the workplaces and how we are going to handle the changes. And I think you are the best man because the country is undergoing change. The DRDO is undergoing change. Today morning when I was talking in the breakfast table, my fellow keynote speaker, he was again asking me, sir, a lot of changes are happening in DRDO. Yes, true. Changes are happening in DRDO. Changes are happening in this country. Change is happening in the world. And in fact, change is the only thing which is constant in this world. You understand that? Without change, we don't exist. Change happens everywhere. A lot of talks have happened just now with my professors and others who spoke about COVIDs. Probably COVID is one thing which has explained what is change. And more than that, again my topic, what is adaptability is about. That is what COVID has taught us. There was a time before COVID, probably we didn't think what is called VC. The same TV was there, the same monitor was there, computer is there, network is there, everything was available. But today we understood that we are able to connect each other. I'm lucky that I'm here in person, but 90% of my addresses these days I'm streaming it over VC to every institutions, even to the IITs and IITs, wherever they want me, because the easiest thing is they get me on a call and half an hour is good enough for them to get it, so they get the talk exactly what they would have otherwise got if I stand before you. Who taught us this? This is what the COVID is all about. The connectivity, ma'am told very important thing is about collaboration. This is again another thing, the connecting people is what COVID has taught us. For connecting people, we don't have to be physical. We're still able to be connect with each other because of the system, because of the management. Now how it has happened? Again, I come back to the topic of adaptability. There was no choice in COVID. No choice was given in COVID. Remember friends, if you do a change and choice both starts with C, but they are very dangerously opposite words. If you give a choice, friends, you can't have change. So if you want change, you can't have choice. Very simple. COVID did not give us choice. That's the reason we could change. And we changed for positive. Today, I'm accessible to the whole world. Whoever wants my speech, it's only because of COVID. People just connect, hook up, and they listen. This one is getting live streamed everywhere. The world is listening. It is again because of all that we have learned through the COVID that there is nothing called physical. Virtually the whole world could be on the hand trip. And that's exactly what COVID has taught us. And we were forced to do that. So, no resistance, no secret. The demand happened. We lived up to it. That's exactly what is called change. And trust me, friends, every change gives you great things. And we have learned it from our childhood, from our birth. By being a living being, we have changed. We have changed from our birth till today. We are going to continuously change in our life. And if we resist change, imagine where we would have been. And the best example of a change and adaptability, you know what? It's of a girl in a typical Indian system. The moment she gets married, she leaves the house and she goes on to the another culture, another family, another gentleman, and the complete world. Can there be a greatest change compared to that? So much so earlier, even she was forced to change the name. But still comes my next word called adaptability. Hats up to girl. That's why we say, I salute Nari Shakti. No boys probably can do it. But it is the girl who has got so much of the power, they are able to accommodate carrying two families together, carrying the love of two families together, spreading the culture to the two families together. This is the greatest change which the human can ever adapt, accept, and deliver. And that's Nari Shakti. Thanks to all the ladies around the world, all the ladies of my country, who do such things and who give us such a great honor for all of us. Friends, if we come to the management, so much we talked about disruption, but I want to touch upon disruptive management. Probably that is the best management which the country needs today. COVID is the biggest example of disruptions, I explained to you. Everywhere you want a change, the first thing is the disruption, right? Whenever you do a change, there is a disruption. If time permits, 2-3 examples I will give from the missile program. What change has taught us? Such kinds of changes for an organization, friends, is a must to grow. Dr. Kalam always used to say, fifth country syndrome. You know what it means, fifth country syndrome? Whenever you achieve a great thing, our press declares, India is the fifth country to achieve this. India is the seventh country to achieve this. India is the third country to achieve this. He used to tell me, when that day will come, when world will say India is the first country to achieve it. This is called fifth country syndrome of Dr. Kalam. Yes, friends, it will happen. It has happened and it is going to happen. I tell you, when we became the first country, what is that we embraced? All that we embraced is the change. And in future, if you really want to make India the best country in the world on every aspect, all that all of you have to embrace. Mark my word, you have to embrace the changes. A few minutes back I said, change is not a choice. So it is by force. But when it is by force, it's very difficult to force and embrace, right? If I force you something, you can't embrace. That's the step number 2. But as I force you, when it becomes inevitable, friends, embrace it. That's the only way you can make the country to be in the number 1. Any industry, any institutions, any academic facility, everything needs to change. You have to adapt to the changes. Then only we can lead. Whole technology has changed. You have seen those huge computers with vacuum valves, and today it has come to the palm top. All these changes happen in technology. If our mind does not accept it, how do we grow forward? And do you know another thing I'll tell you, very simple thing about change. We have got 2 parts in our body. One is our mind and one is our heart. I'll give you a very simple example. You go to the shop, you see an Apple phone or an Apple laptop. Your heart will say, I should have it because it looks so fascinating. It is so beautiful. But your mind will resist because it does not carry window. It is a Mac system. It is a completely different system. Can I adapt to this? Can I use it? So mind will pull, heart will drive forward. And where heart wins, you win. It is the heart, it is the passion. If it makes you win, then mind will be a slave to the heart. And then you accept the changes. So the change you can embrace, provided you have a connect between your heart and your mind, and follow your heart, follow your passion. You will be the world leader. I'll give you small 2-3 examples. 3 parts in the missile program. First part, when we created a missile, we started with a very simple Devil missile. It's a Russian missile. We started to open up because we didn't know how to make a missile. We just opened up, we understood this is called actuators, this is called propulsions, this is called computer systems, and this is how it flies. A very simple, trivial, wire-guided missile. From there, the mind has accepted the changes to come out of the conventional thinking that India can make missiles. And that is how, friends, we started assembling parts by parts, thanks to Dr. Kalam and all those gurus, that we started making integrated guided missile development program. So much so that a stage came where India started launching the first Agni in 1989. Intermediate range ballistic missile, 750 kilometers. When we launched that missile, the whole world was against us because world was not ready to accept the change. World was not ready to accept a middle-class country like India can ever make a missile. All the bans came, all MTCRs came, all the systems which were there were withdrawn. We were like pushed to one side that as if we are culprits, we have no right to even think. And that is where the mind accepted change to think on our own and realize missiles. Together with academicians, industries, all scientific manpower, India was one to integrate systems, make in your own hand, without the support of the United States, that we will make missiles. We cannot sign MTCR saying that we are not allowed to make missiles beyond 300 kilometers. No freedom it is. We made, we integrated, and accepting all those changed environment, we created missile friends, which all by ourselves could launch and touch the target at 5,000 kilometers. This is what India does. When India goes forward with full of power, this is what the scientific temperament, this is what is the mindset. When you embrace the changed environment, you come out as the best. Second thing I'll tell you, when we created the test range, Dr. Pepin has seen it as he mentioned. When we made a test range, India had no power to create a test range. So we had to buy systems from United States. That's the reason United States controlled us, that if you take systems from us, you make missiles only up to 300 kilometers. We had those systems, so we were helpless. We had multi-discrete components and they were failing left, right, and center. But we had to assemble together. Thanks to our industries, we made systems by ourselves. We created technologies, we made systems, rectified foreign systems, designed our own systems. And do you know, friends, in the turn of event, when I became director of that lab in 2015, by then, this was the only test range in the entire world to have all the test systems designed and developed by its own engineers within the country. Even United States didn't have that. Now I'll tell you the change number 3, which is very personal to me. 33 years in Indian missile program, as Dr. Pepin says, 5 years as director. And he says, to become the world's #1 test range, I would like to tell you, a big team came from South Korea and NASA. They evaluated all around the world, all the test ranges, because they wanted to test their missiles. And one of them, who is from NASA, certified. Across the world, we have seen all the 4 leading test ranges. We have no doubt that ITR is better than NASA and the best test range in the world. I still hold that certificate in ITR. This is what the change gives you. But after 33 years, my heart and soul being in that lab, I told you a few minutes back, there is a difference between change and choice. If you want change, you can't have choice. I had out of the blue, one call from Delhi that less than 24 hours, next day morning, you are required to head another very important lab in Dehradun. You have done a great job in ITR. You have made it at the best in the world. Now it's the time for you to go to some other lab. It is not only the lab. My heart was here. You imagine the pain which I would have got, and with all the bonded emotions around for my families throughout, families, my extended ITR families, my Balasore family, my Orissa family. It was a shock that this man is leaving. But I had no choice. So I had to embrace the change. Remember the word. I had to embrace the change, explaining my team who were crying that this is a great opportunity. It is a great opportunity because all along great things we did in ITR, people say, you are a homegrown guy hitting century on your own ground. Somebody was giving example of cricket. I got a chance to play my cricket in a foreign ground. If I hit a century there, Orissa will be proud. Friends, went there, embraced the change, and today, the entire Dehradun is Diwana of Orissa, not of Bikedas. They understand what is Orissa. This is how the migration happens. This is how the feel happens. This is how the love happens, my dear friends. And being there with all the works, by the grace of God, maybe I'm there today as Director General or whatsoever. Dr. Pepin said a lot of big words that he's aiming me somewhere. I don't aim. I don't dream that. What I dream today, that every step which I'm doing, every work which I'm guiding to all my labs with 3,000, 4,000 scientists and people, we should create such great systems in this country that it is not that it will be Atmanirbhar Bharat alone. It will be that India will be the #1 exporter of the defense technology. That's the challenge we have taken up today. Last week I was in Ahmedabad. You'll be very happy to know all around 78 countries were there. They were mad across our technology. They're mad to see that India could do so much. They never thought, because the entire domination of the defense equipments were with those leading countries, which we call at the superpowers. But today, when they go to the grassroots level, they understand what this country can do, what this country can produce. Yesterday, I was reviewing in Chennai, 32 layers of board with lots of technologies of VLSIs together has been created, designed, and developed by this country, by our engineers, that no more import is required from anywhere in the United States. Forget about systems, not even the boards and LRU level components. Today, India has gone up to that level, my dear friends. If India has reached this, it is only because such a great change we have all adapted to based on what kind of an environmental change we all faced it about. So, my dear friends, when you go forward with these 3 narrations of my missile life, you can understand change is the only thing which makes you successful in life. And remember my word, never have a choice. If you have a choice, you cannot have a change. So you should embrace the change like what I did. If you embrace the change, you will take this country to the best in the world. I will end it. In fact, I wanted to scribble something for you. I did it yesterday late night, but today early morning I left it in the guest house because of the hurry in the flight. But on the flight, I drafted a few things, which normally I end my talk with. Change, C-H-A-N-G-E. I have expanded it for you. For me, choosing heroism allows new growth every day. This is what change is about. So you all will become hero if you allow all the changes to be embraced around. But friends, at the end I will tell you, everything will change, because Albert Einstein had said something. Measure of intelligence is the ability to change. So how much we are going to change? Change your attitude. That is the first important thing. Change your mindset. Make it adaptable. Accept the changed world. Change everything in technology. Change everything in the systems. But one thing you should never change, my dear friends. Remember my word. That is called never change your value system. That is something which should be constant, perennial, your culture within, which is going to take you as the best of the world. If you do this, and another important thing, never change the nature. Never try to change the nature. These are the 2 things which you allow it to happen. You adapt to it, but never change it. Don't cut trees. Don't create pollutions. Don't spoil this beautiful world. Don't waste water. Remember, this is the only planet God has given you. There is no second home for us. It is you, the next generation. You have to drive this world to preserve the nature, to maintain the nature, and adapt to the nature. Hold your value systems. Rest of the world you change. You are the change givers. You are the main changers for the world. I am sure in future you are going to give us a great world, a new world, and a fantastic world to live in, which all of us will be proud of. May God bless you. Thank you so much, Xaviers, for giving me this great opportunity to come here and share my views. Thanks for all the love and affections. I can never forget when I landed off, the warmth which all of you have shown. You have driven me back to those great days of missiles. Thanks a lot. Love you all. Bande Utkal Janani. Namaskar.
Thank you so much, sir, for your enlightening words. I would now like to take this opportunity to introduce our next keynote speaker, Dr. Sunil Singh. Dr. Sunil Singh is the CHRO of Stellar Value Chain Private Limited. He is also the founder and CEO of Mindstream Consulting. Dr. Sunil is a PhD from IIM Bangalore, having 25 years of experience in the HR and IR with groups and businesses in diversified industry. As CHRO, Dr. Sunil has transformed Cadila Pharmaceutical to a great place of work certified organization. He's an associate certified coach from ICC. Thank you for joining us today, sir. Now, I welcome Dr. Sunil Singh to deliver the second keynote address.
Very good morning to all of you. Honorable Father, Dr. Andrew, B.K. Das sir. It was giving the goosebumps hearing every word from you. So much of achievement. And all the faculty members, all the students. Coming to a college gives me always a feeling like coming to home, because I grew in a family of academicians. My grandfather was a teacher, my father was a professor. I also did my PhD from IIM Bangalore.
So got lots of chance to interact with the academia. Even my work in the corporate have a touch of that. So what Dr. Bikeda said about change is the only constant. But he also talked about the value system. While we do everything else, don't change the value system. When Dr. Andrew started, he talked about what kind of pandemic is likely to be expected, how we are facing more and more kind of weather-related distractions. And possibly we will see more of that in the coming days. And then Bikeda sir talked about we have only one world. Please preserve it. I represent Stellar Value Chain, which is one of the fastest growing 3PL company. It's a third-party logistic company. We have about 15 million square feet of warehouses. We do business across industries. We work for Flipkart, we work for Miso, we work for Nykaa, we work for Tata Motors, Sun Pharma. You just name it, we work for almost everyone. Our presence is right from the Coimbatore to the Banur in the Punjab, and now we got yesterday Pepsi. Also in our kitty, Pepsi will be in Sangrur. So we have warehousing for everyone. So that's about the organization which we represent. We call it a speed industry. We are into a business of speed. So whenever all of you order through Flipkart or the Zepto or the Zomatos or the anything, whether it's the Dasara or the Deepavali, we are all working to make sure that your orders are delivered in 10 minutes or 20 minutes or in a day or a half day, depending on what's the turnaround time. So that's the industry I represent. So in the flight, when I took up in the morning around 5:45 flight was there, so I thought I will do something, some PPT, and make it interactive for all of you. I don't like monologues. I will not keep it monologue. So can you go ahead? So there is something about me, and for me, when we have to think about the change, all of us say that it's a changing work, changing workplace, future of work. Go back and see the articles of something around 1939. Go back and see the articles which were in the newspapers of 1938, 1937, 1936, when the Industrial Revolution was starting, and maybe early 1800. All those times, it was the same thing. It's changing very fast, it will replace human beings. It is changing so fast that all of us are going to be replaced. Even in our days, when the computerization started, we remember late 1980s. In the banks, there used to be the pen down strike and all kinds of strikes that, okay, computerization is so bad. That was the age of the Rajiv Gandhi, Sam Pitroda, who brought the computerization to the country. Why I'm referring to all of this is that actually you can't beat the change. So there will always be some people who will say that change is coming, these robots will replace me, AI will replace me, everybody will be replaced. Believe me, evolution of 5.3 million years, human being has not been replaced so far, and they will never be replaced. AI is our creation, it will remain our creation. So let's embrace this. So now why this timeline? This is my timeline. I have a very fascinating kind of a journey. I started from a village where my grandfather was there. Till my class 5 I was there. What I remember from that is that my school didn't have the benches. I just used to carry the gunny bag, bora. I used to sit there, kids playing in the field. We used to watch the aeroplanes going deep, high, very high. You can't even see. Probably it was not near to any kind of flight path. So you can only see the thin line of the white smoke. And in the village, we used to say that it's a suya jahaj. Sui is the needle, because you are only seeing the needle, right? So coming from that place to here, I think I have seen changes. I have been to my farms during the monsoon, putting all the cow dung in the field, in the bullock cart. So I started from there. Then moved to a place called Jumri Tilaiya. Most of people know for that Sibaka song and Binaka song and the Geetmala, the Farmais comes from there. Jumri Tilaiya was famous for that. So why I'm saying this, there is a workplace which was a farm. So I saw that workplace. My grandfather will get up in the morning, go to the farm, come back, have the breakfast, then probably in the afternoon will go at his own volition. There is no boss kind of guiding him, that in the farm something is waiting for you, go and do the work. So that's also work, right? So that's the work I saw. Then I saw the second work when I shifted to the place Jumri Tilaiya, where my father was a professor of economics. So I saw a set of working there. Then I saw a set of working when I joined XISS, where I started interacting with the industry professionals. That was a time when lots of MNCs were coming to India. So we interacted with the guys from GE, Cisco, a new kind of work culture I got introduced to. Then came the era, that was also a time when the computerization and everything was happening. We saw the computers, many of you would not have seen the B drive. How many of you, can you know what's what a B drive? Can you raise the hand? So that tells that all of you are the future. Probably Professor Dr. Das will know what was the B drive. The large floppy, it was a flexible plastic kind of a thing. Then there was the A drive. Then you had the CDs. We saw pagers. And probably in a span of about, 5 to 7 years, it all vanished. By the time we started using pager, I don't know where it went. By the time I started using floppy disks, the B drive and the A drive, it lasted only MECL, my first job, one in Nagpur. That was the public sector. That was again another experience. Many people say that public sector, you don't have much of the work. Till now, I don't think in any other company I had got the challenges which I got there. I was able to reduce the manpower from something like 6,000 to around 2147 when I was leaving to join IIM Bangalore. I was in charge of VRS. Then I joined IIM Bangalore, did my PhD from there. I will tell one story from there. Very interesting one for all of you, that how did I choose my PhD topic? So for almost like 2 years, I thought I will do my research on leadership. So I had enough of the printouts like this high in my room on leadership. But then I was taking a course with Professor Saurav Mukherjee. And we had a discussion on a simulation paper by March and Simon. In that paper, there was a very interesting question. So I will give you some background on Professor Mukherjee. He was the IIT Kanpur topper, IIM Bangalore topper, went to the BCG on day one, came back teaching. He was my age. So one of the youngest professors there. Question in that paper was that who tops the class? Is it the student who knows the subject, or is it the student who knows the teacher? What will be your answer? How many are with the first one, who knows the subject? Can you raise the hand? Answer in the simulation was, who knows the teacher? Saurabh being Saurabh, topper throughout, he thought that it's offense to him. and the class which was supposed to be for 90 minutes went for 3 hours. And that day I decided I will do my thesis on this subject. And the subject was that what happens because of the socialization pressure in the organization to your proactive behavior. That's a very interesting thing. That it's more about the socialization pressure. Another example from the same paper I will share with you. Suppose me and B.K. Das sir, both of us join the organization. Both of us are trained into knowledge in Unit 1 to knowledge Unit 10. Right? This was a simulation about who gives more to the organization. Is it the average people or is it the high IQ people? So when we join any organization, high IQ people pick up what gets rewarded here. So, okay, I will not take his name, I will take Arup's name. So Arup being a very high IQ person, he will figure out that, okay, here the boss gives the praise when I show 2 and 3 knowledge unit. So from day 1, he starts getting praise because he is showing 2 and 3. He is not even showing that he knows 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, till 10. Probably other person, me, I don't know that what gets rewarded. I have not still caught that. And this is important for all of you as well, that when you will go for your first job, try to figure out what gets rewarded. So other person shows the behaviors number 3, knowledge unit 3, knowledge unit 4, knowledge unit 6, and boss tells, boss, what are you showing? Only 2 and 3 gets rewarded here. Why are you showing me 4, 5, 6, 7? But this gentleman, at the cost of rebuke, is adding to the knowledge bank of the organization. So who actually adds to knowledge bank is the average IQ people, not the high IQ. High IQ people will figure out what gets rewarded, give the performance what is desired, move on. Why they will move on? Because they feel that they also know 4, 5, 6, 7, which is not accepted here. Therefore, to learn more, they will still move on. They will still move on. So I thought I will share this story with all of you. This will be important for all of you. Then, can we move from there? Okay. Let's stay. Dasser talked about the change and the choice. So before we come to this one, this is a poll for all of you. In Reliance, when I was in Reliance, I was working on a digital transformation. And the project was that, can I promote digital learning with all the people? And I was facing lots of challenges. Everybody was like, okay, learning can happen only in the classroom, in an auditorium like this, right? Or maybe in some other classrooms. Learning cannot happen on the digital platforms. And I was the one who created our university. It was the corporate university for entire Reliance. And I started a learning festival called Spectrum. A spectrum have all the colors, right? But there is one thing out there, that we will celebrate every form except classroom. So probably, so this is where I am referring to Mr. Das here. That when you have to change, you have to take the choice out of the table. What I did, I locked the classroom for 2 years. No one will go to classroom. No classrooms will be scheduled. There are lots of you and cry that you are a demon. How can learning will happen out of classroom? But we promoted everything. We promoted webinars, experiential learning. You go out, have a learning in the garden, but not in the classroom. QR code, holo, everything we tried. But we took the choice out of the table. It's like an addiction. If you are addicted to one form, you have to take it out of the... Till the time that is available, nobody would have accepted it. So that's very important. So that was, then our actually digital learning went up dramatically. now coming back to the theme of, so we are talking about changing work, workplaces, right? Can all of you have the Mentimeter in your mobile phone? You have? Can you read the numbers? Or is it visible out there? If you can. Eight two 3463. I will repeat 39823463. Okay? So first question here is, which three words comes in your mind when you hear future of work? You can type any three words which comes to your mind. Are you able to get the code? No, you're not able to? Okay, so now I'm getting, people are typing, I think you are not able to. Can I connect my mobile to this? Is possible? Mobile to the projector? No. Okay, so no issues, but I am able to see here. So good, keep going. So I thought that I will make a presentation, but I think audience knows it all. So why to make a presentation? So, okay, good. So while all of you are typing, the three words are not changing: technology, hybrid, and flexible. Still, technology, hybrid, and flexible. Another word which is coming is flexibility, which is same. Then I'm getting, still it's the same: technology, hybrid, flexible. One is coming work-life balance. Now it started coming innovative, empathy, adaptability. Okay. Let's talk about this. So we talked about flexibility, we talked about technology, we have talked about hybrid, we talked about work-life balance. Let's go back to the story. I talked about 1938, 1936, I talked about human evolution. Actually, why we are working the way we are working, why Stellar exists, why DB Shankar exists, why Infosys exists, why XIM exists, why organizations exist. Unless until we ponder about that, we will not get to the idea that where we are going. So, cut the story short, initially human being came up, they were attacked by tigers, lions, they have to survive somehow. They got into groups, but they used to get food whenever they wanted, right? But they decided when to get food. Perfect so far? But population kept growing. At some point of time, guild system emerged. So you had the shoemaker, you have the smith, you have the barber, different people. But again, those people used to work whenever they used to like. Not like have a shop or have a chain of salons. No, they don't have that. They were the masters of their job, right? What that tells you? That tells you that human being by nature wants to control their work. Then the kingdoms emerged, so they enslaved people, but mark the word enslaved people. So people were enslaved and they had to work for somebody else. Did they like it? What the history tells us? History tells us no, they didn't like it. Many a times rebellion happened if they were not treated well. Then the population further increased. Now we have no option but to mass produce, right? So mass production happened, all these guild went out, and then the technology took charge, and now we are into this era. Why now this future of work and change of work is important? Why it was not important in 1960? Why it was not important in 1970? Why it was not important in 1990? Why suddenly this is being talked about? Answer to this is here. Because for the first time, technology is giving you back your flexibility as a human being. At no point in the history of technology, it was able to give the human being their freedom. So far, technology evolution has happened to control the human beings. Now, I can sit in any corner of the world and work. It was not possible earlier. Now, it is possible for me to change my career altogether at any stage of my life. Was it possible earlier? Earlier, it was of the single career, single organization career. It was supposed to be bad if you change jobs, a lot of jobs. CVs were rejected when they see many changes in your career, right? Now technology is giving you that. What kind of organizations are emerging? You have organizations like Upwork. How many of you have heard about Upwork? Okay, two. Can you tell if you can be louder so that everybody knows what is Upwork? Okay, I will tell for. So Upwork is a platform where lots of gig workers are there, thousands and thousands of, and they are working on the global projects, and many of them are earning money more than a regular career. That is emerging. So many of our colleagues, you will say they're not working. I had a friend in Reliance. He used for Accenture for almost like 15, 20 years. He never stepped out of his house. He never stepped out of his house. He changed job once to Reliance only for the sake of that physical feeling that I will meet some people physically. So that's the reason this change of work we are talking about. Now come to the next question. Next question is, you can use the same code and answer there. Which three words comes to your mind when you hear future workplaces? Work we talked about, that okay, it's more about hybrid, it's more about flexible, it's more about being empowered, feeling that we are the owner of our work. What will happen to the workplaces? Which are the three words comes to your mind? And don't worry, I just have three questions, and that's where it all ends. I'll not take longer time. Okay. Moon, hybrid, agile, Mars, adaptable, space. Agile, adaptable is the leading right now. Okay, so that gives the fair idea. What will happen to the workplaces? Before I talk about that, I will talk about two theories. Most of my interventions are guided by 2-3 domains. One is economics, second is sociology, and third is anthropology. Economics comes in my family. My sister, my father, everybody was economists. So, why organizations exist? Which theory explains that? Anyone? Why we have organizations? Which economics theory explains that? It's agency theory. So there is a master and there is a servant. But the master does not believe the servant. Therefore, master hires agent. Master does not believe that agent as well. Then hires another agent. That's what the in nutshell agency theory is all about. That's why the hierarchy exists. That's how the organizations were formed. But then came a theory somewhere around 1970s sometimes. And the gentleman was Williamson Coase. His thesis was the smallest in the world. And he got a Nobel Prize for that. It was just one page. And which theory was that? That was a transactional cost. That was the basis of all the outsourcing. That's the reason why the Infosys exists, that's the reason why the Wipro exists, that's the reason all the Indian IT companies exist. That's the reason all the gig work can be explained. It says that anything which can happen trustfully, cheaper in the marketplace will always be outsourced. Because in the agency structure of organization, you will always have a more and more and more cost added to produce the same thing. Simple. Simple to understand. I'm not talking the economics language so that everybody can understand. Right? But that's how all the outsourcing has started to happen. The whole basis of outsourcing was that. And that's the theory will prevail more and more because now we have the AI, the machine learning, the blockchains. Because now I can trustfully outsource my job to 10 things using blockchain and nothing will happen. So the problem which agency has gone away with the technology. Right? So that's the reason outsourcing happens. So future of workplaces might not be the traditional form of organizations. Let me summarize that piece. What it will mean that many organizations will flatten. What we have seen in last about 10, 15 years, track the balance sheet of any large organizations, their revenue has gone up, manpower numbers have largely remained same. So revenue curve is like this, manpower will be like this. But as the technology will take more and more charge, your manpower numbers will start going down. The future of workplaces will not be the traditional set of organizations. Organizations will evolve. And to some extent, logistics for us, we represent that way. We don't own the warehouses. We don't own the workers. We don't own the goods. We don't own the truck which comes to our warehouses. It's all rental agreements through which we work. We own nothing. We have to say about 7,000 people, but core team is just about 500 people. That's it. 500 people driving countrywide operation of 7,000 people. That will happen. You will see many organizations which will be very dispersed, have no manpower on their role. You will have organizations like that. Coming to the last question. In your view, which 5 words describe the business implications? In a way, we answered in the last one. All of you can write down the words, what it means for the businesses, what they need to do, if these are the things going to happen, if the flexibility will come, if the hybrid will come, if technology will overtake, if organizations, systems, the structures will change, what it means for the businesses. Last question. I'm saying development, growth, profit. Okay? So I will talk through these 3 words. What was earlier not possible is possible now. And when I say what was not earlier possible, hyper aggregation was not possible. No organization could single-handedly could have catered to every human being on the earth. That was not possible earlier. It was unimaginable. Today, situation is like in every sector, there are global organizations emerging. More and more consolidation happening. Lots of value chain getting disrupted. That's where the profits and growth will emerge. Anything else? So this is the growth and profit part. But what for all of them to manage all of you? Society is not the same. I want my freedom. I don't want to be enslaved. They have not treated me well during COVID period. They fired me. Right? I'm talking about it from the employee perspective. While they earned profit using my blood and sweat for 20 years, 30 years, filling their coffers, they could not sustain me for 2 years. That's what the employee is saying. Right? How they are taking the revenge? They are taking the revenge that, boss, I will be the owner of my skill. Why I should stretch for you 14 hours? Why I should stretch for you 16 hours? The implication comes here. Now organizations have to go overboard to get the commitment of the people. Traditional methods will not work because they have broken the trust globally, not only here, globally. That's where the resignations are coming across, right? That's where the Upwork is gaining ground. Now people are saying that's where the moonlighting debate is coming from. Organizations are taking different positions on this. But what the employee is saying is this: I work for organization, I make your profit, you as the organization decide to park it somewhere else, open another organization. I have no say in that. Then why I should give my time beyond the allocated time to you? This debate is more shriller in India, but it's very common when you go to US, UK, having 2 jobs, 3 jobs parallelly is very okay. But no one can stop it. Policies can be made, it will be more contract-oriented, everything, but this is how things will be. So this debate is going to be longer, but we are going to be... So these are the 3 questions through which I thought I will share with you, all of you, my views at what will be work, what will be future of work. There is one video if you can play. With that I will end. It's a video by a futurist. Just play this. Every time I see this video, it tells me that, okay,
Once upon a time, business as usual was often good enough. No more. Where we are going, good enough is dead. In a world where everything is connected, where everything is equally excellent, where performance is reaching perfection, there's only one space left to innovate in: you. Right now, you are a central point in the raging tornado of change fueled by digitization, mobilization, augmentation, disintermediation, automation. Well, the list goes on. Science fiction is becoming science fact. Think about self-driving cars or computers that can learn and think. The way we work will never be the same. The skills we need will be dramatically different. Winning or losing are now happening faster than ever before. So what's your response? How will you discover new opportunities in one of the most transformational times in human history? Are you driving change, or are you being driven by it? Disruption has become the new normal. With change, it's always gradually, then suddenly, well, things really have stopped happening gradually. This change is exponential. Everything that used to be dumb and disconnected is now wired and intelligent. Cars, cities, ports, farms, even our bodies will be wired with sensors and will talk to each other. These game changers are also combinatorial. They amplify each other, creating a perfect storm of change. Quantum computing fuels big data. The Internet of Things fuels artificial intelligence and deep learning, which fuels robotics. However, Anything that cannot be digitized or automated will become extremely valuable. Human-only traits such as creativity, imagination, intuition, emotion, and ethics will be even more important in the future, because machines are very good at simulating, but not at being. Yes, robots and software will do some of our work, but this will allow us to focus on things that cannot be automated. To imagine change squared, you've got to start engaging more with what might be, not just with what is. Immerse yourself in the immediate future 5 to 7 years out from today. We need to go beyond technology and data to reach human insights and wisdom. Technology represents the how of change, but humans represent the why. The future is about holistic business model. The opportunity is to be liquid, to learn just in time, not just in case, not single improvements, but complete transformations, not individual systems, but new ecosystems. Humanity is where true and lasting value is created. We will engage, relate, and buy things because of the experiences they provide, because of their transformative power. The future doesn't just happen, the future gets happened. The new way to work is to embrace technology, but not to become it. The future is in technology, yet the bigger future lies in transcending it. Let's live and lead from here.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much, sir, for your wise words. On behalf of School of Human Resource Management, XIM University and ZIMAR, I now invite Dr. Shubhra Patnaik, faculty member, School of Human Resource Management, XIM University, to felicitate our dignitaries. On behalf of NHRDN Bhubaneswar chapter, I now invite Ms. Bobby Patnaik, Vice President, NHRDN Bhubaneswar chapter, to felicitate our dignitaries.
As we move forward, I would like to take the opportunity to announce the magnanimous launch of HR Expert, the annual magazine of ZIMAR, the HR Association of XIM University. Each year, ZIMAR puts forth a wonderful amalgamation of insightful articles on the relevant development in the fields of HR and also summarizes and acknowledges the exemplary stories of its students and alumni. I would request all the dignitaries to kindly come forward and formally release the magazine for everyone. Thank you everyone for doing the honors. With this, we come to the end of the inauguration ceremony. I thank each one of you for your valuable time and for joining us to mark the beginning of today's grand event. Now we take a short break. I request you all to be back for the panel discussion by 12:15 am. I request the students to be seated as the dignitaries take our leave.
Welcome back, everyone. We are now starting with our panel discussion for the day. The theme for the discussion is Changing Work and Workplace Implication for Business. I request our moderator and panelists to come on the stage for the panel discussion. This panel discussion will be moderated by Dr. G.P. Rao, the founder of Good People Relation HR Consulting LLP.
Let me take this opportunity to introduce to you all the panel members of the day. It gives me utmost joy to welcome our esteemed panel member, Ms. Renu Bora. Ms. Bora is a seasoned HR leader who currently serves as DB Schenker's Chief People Officer for India and the Indian subcontinent. It gives me privilege to have this opportunity to welcome our esteemed panel member, Mr. Satish Mohapatra. Mr. Mohapatra is a VP and Head HR, Siemens Smart Infrastructure, India. I'm elated to welcome our next panel member, Mr. Amitabh Singh. Mr. Amitabh Singh is Head Business HR, Leadership and Capability Development, ICICI Bank. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome our next panel member, Ms. Lipika Verma. Ms. Lipika Verma currently works as a Vice President, Rewards and Performance, Innovation and Thought Leadership at Schneider Electric. I now invite Professor Arup Roy Chaudhary, Faculty Member, School of Human Resource Management, to welcome our esteemed panelists and moderator by presenting the saplings to them. Now, I cordially hand over the session to our respected moderator, Dr. G.P. Rao.
Thank you. Good afternoon to all of you. Can I request my student managers to please settle down? And if you are settled down, just give me a thumbs up. All those who are settled down, okay. While it is an hybrid situation, the two of our panelists are online. Are you there? Oh, wonderful. Just we are preparing hybrid model. Yes. Show strength. Show strength. Yes. Am I audible to you? Last row, please. Last row. Okay, you are not audible to us. So, my job is to moderate today's session with your help. Okay, we have 4 panelists, 2 in person, 2 virtually. So, I was talking to somebody, have you started hybrid practices? He said, yes sir, we have introduced a hybrid policy, half of it is written, half of it is communicated verbally. That is not hybrid policy. No, that's not. This is hybrid. This is hybrid. 2 people there, 2 people here. I am supposed to introduce the theme. Theme is work and workplace. What are the changes happening there and what are the implications for business? What is missing there is, so what? Then what? So I have added that. It's not just articulating a list of implications and challenges to business. We want to know from our 4 veteran panelists, what are they doing? What they propose to do? What they suggest you to prepare to do? Okay? What they are doing, what they propose to do, what they would suggest you to prepare to do. So that will be the conclusion. Okay? And we want to leave room for Q&A. If you want to have more questions, more answers, you have to be very crisp. Okay? Just ask the question, they will give you the right answer. Now, I am supposed to introduce the theme, so no introduction. It is work from anywhere. The work has changed, the worker has changed, workplace has changed. So a lot of changes have happened. So naturally, any change will have an implication. And the first sector to get implication because of worker and workplace is the business sector, the corporate sector. So we will go straight away. I will go to the panelists, preference to the online people. Yeah? You're okay with that? Yes. Okay. So my first question to the panelists is, what are the changes that have happened in the worker and workplace? I have added worker also. Any change that you have seen, observed, felt? We'll come to Amita first.
Thank you, and glad to be here. Sorry I couldn't be there in person because of some other engagements at Mumbai at my office. So I'm in office because I work with the bank, and my conversation will be in context with banking. So there is no change at the workplace because being a bank, I need to serve customers when they come to our branches, and hence it means that concepts like work from home doesn't apply to us because I can't serve a customer sitting out of my home. If they're in the branches, I have to be in the branches. And we are 10,000 people in India right now, serving more than 5,500 offices or the branches, what we call it. So in the context of banking, there is no change in the way we work. Pre-COVID, post-COVID, we continue to operate from offices. During COVID, banking is because it's part of essential services. So we were coming to offices all the while. Of course, there was a little bit of flexibility because at some point of time, the number of customers at our branches was also not great. And hence, we have a little bit of rostering. But for the last 1 year, all our 10,000 people have been coming to offices. So that's just one response. I think what has changed and has been happening, COVID obviously has kind of made it faster, is this whole work design, which has changed over a period of time. And I'll take an example of armed forces, and I'm sure all of us are aware of this whole Agniveer and what government of India is trying to do. And I was talking to one of the armed forces personnel, saying, what's the need? Why do you want to change and then bring young people and even younger people into your workplace? And then the person defined that the role of a Jawan in armed forces has changed drastically. It is no longer just picking up your weapon and fighting. It's about being able to deal with different sets of weapons, being able to deal with a support which is in front of you through a screen because you're getting satellite images, being able to operate a drone because sometimes your enemy is few kilometers away and you need to be able to see that person.
Kavita, I'll come back to you. Okay. With the second question, I'll come back to you. Deepika, you want to add any changes that have happened in the area of work, worker, and workplace? Deepika.
Sure. First of all, thanks for the opportunity. It's wonderful to be associated with XIM University and, of course, NHRD. And, now that they are doing Kshitij 2022 together, it's wonderful to be here. So thanks for the opportunity again. Coming to workplace and workers, I think there has been a lot of change on all the 3 parameters. I think work, it has become much more human to my mind because I think with the creations of machine and robots, we are looking at work which is much more higher in terms of the level of work, where more intellect is being used, and those kind of work which are more repetitive in nature is kind of getting more automated, much more digitized, and so on and so forth. Also, I think work, even for us as HR professionals, has changed dramatically if we were to look at the last 2 years, because earlier as HR professionals, we were kind of focusing on all the processes right from the time an employee will join the organization till such time he or she exits the organization. But today the focus is more in terms of touch points, more in terms of employee experience, and therefore not only for HR, but for every team, so to say, even for sales employees, when they are actually selling their products to customers in an online manner, I think work has undergone a dramatic change in the last 2 years, and this will continue as we go forward. From a worker standpoint, I think a whole lot of things have changed, because today, after the pandemic, I think all of us, even as employees, have realized the importance of having the work-life integration, the way we want flexibility, not only in our personal lives, but even in our professional lives. And therefore, the element of flexibility, the element of customization and personalization, and also the fact that how do we work with hybrid nature? Can we work from anywhere across the world? Millennials today are really wanting to work across countries, spending few days in a particular country and going to another country and working from there. And how do we manage our entire contract proposals and offers with respect to that?
Thank you. I'll come back to you with my second question very shortly. Both of you have got an advantage. One is you are in person, you can see the audience. Number two of them already spoken. You can add a little. Yeah, I think Renu.
Yeah, so I would say that the workplace has become more intangible. So in place of a very physical workplace, which moved to remote, then to work from anywhere and so on. So it is still evolving, but it is like, work is being 80% carried in your mind than, in a physical space. So, one what comes to me for workplace changes is highly embracing technology. On the work definition, I think work is becoming, while it is saying that we are like now moving from time-based, synchronous working to, anytime working, but I would say that work definition is becoming more purposeful. And third, on working condition, or you can say workforce, while we have all this hybrid, full-time, distributed workforce and so on, I think we have a lot of flexibility around workforce as well.
Thank you. That was very super fast. Samir.
Thank you. So I'll also stick to the time, and three things that we're discussing: workplace and workforce. Work-wise, if I have to summarize what I think of today, I remember a slogan which IBM started in 1990s, and much before anyone could have ever dreamt of COVID. Work, they said, is something you do, not some place you go to. And I think that we are all living today, yeah, including, we could have never imagined that a panel discussion will happen with people in different parts of the world, right? Second is that, the shifting has changed from measuring time to measuring output. Punching 9 o'clock, 10 minutes delay, one casual leave gets deducted. Rao Saab will know. Those are the days we started our career in. But today, you work at your time, and as long as the customer is happy, nobody cares. So that's work. Coming to now workplace. Now when the world has become hybrid, the question is, do we need a workplace? But my strong answer is we do. There are different people will do their own work. They should be able to do their own work in a metro station or in a park or in their house. Nobody should bother. But then there are definitely different advantages of a concrete brick and mortar workplace where collaboration happens, where you meet people, where you get trained, where you celebrate, where retirement parties happen. Now those things are essential to make a workplace relevant. There's no when it's your birthday, a colleague smearing a cake on your face, that fun you will not get working from home. Third, workforce. Now, workforce thankfully is becoming more diverse, and that's most companies, not just multinationals, are focusing today. And also the shifting has, it is already shifted from doing digital to being digital, is how I call it. And last but not the least, work-life balance has become a much abused term. It has actually moved to work-life integration.
Work-life integration. Why balance?
Exactly. You work 24/7. You choose when to take a break. You choose when to work.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Amitabh is our opening batsman. Before I go to him for my second question, from the audience, do you think we have missed out anything? Any change in work, worker and workplace? Do you think we have missed out anything, audience? No? Can you say all of you together no? No. No means I am not happy. Do you want to add anything? Have you missed out anything? No, no. So can we clap for the first round? No. I will tell you how to clap. If you are happy with somebody, clap like this. You are competing with 250 people. Your clap has to be better than others. And it should be longer, louder, faster. Come on, 1, 2, 3. Louder. Louder, longer, faster. Because all HR, no? All HR, it has to be louder. Huh? It has to be sustained. It has to be very faster. If you like it, thank you. Well done. We'll go to the next question. Go to my opening batsmen. Both Amitabh and Lipika are there. Amitabh, my second question to you is, what are the major implications, major challenges? We will take the adverse kind of things. Some may be very good for you, convenient for you, opportune for you. We will limit it, but talk more which are difficulties. Any challenge, any implication. Because of the change, there is an implication on the business. Amitabh.
So if I get your question right, this is in context of the first question, that if what is changing, and in that context, what's been the challenge? Am I right?
No, now we are discussing what are the implications. If that has changed, they said it is now hybrid, it is flexible, then what happened? So either a change, is there an implication to you in your processes, in business? Is it become difficult now? Managing business, managing engagement, managing controls, managing monitoring,
Sure.
anything?
So two things I would talk about. I think the generation which is coming to workplace now, in terms of the aspirations, they are really representing the new India or the next India, I would say. And hence, we as an organization have to adapt to the changing aspiration. People want more flexibility in the way their roles are defined, and within the boundaries of whatever a banking in an organization can do. So that's one challenge which we have to deal with. The second positive thing which we certainly see, that people nowadays bring much more social confidence at the workplace. They come in like a human being, as a person, with their aspirations, with their choices, with their views. And organizations have to adapt to living by those views. So these are the two things, if I get you right, is what we are currently doing.
Very, very valid, very valuable insight from you. I'm going to Lipika. According to you, what are the challenges and implications? Can be positive, can be adverse. Lipika.
Sure. I think one is, from an HR standpoint, it's all around, really the attraction, motivation, and retention of talent, because with all the changing dynamics and the expectations from people and the way they want to work, the way they need flexibility, the way they need quality of work, and a very different kind of work every time, dynamic set of work. I think as HR, one of our bigger challenges is in terms of attraction and retention, and making sure that we are able to provide them with meaningful purpose as an organization, so that they feel connected, emotionally connected to what the company is doing, and therefore they are performing. The second is, with all these changes and the fast moving pace, I think there's a lot of stress on employees today. Even a Gallup survey of 2022 talks about 66% of employees undergoing stress on an everyday basis across the globe. And this is not an easy thing for any company to manage. The employees are responsible, the employer is also responsible, and how do we manage, therefore, the well-being of employees and the mental well-being, so to say. So that's another big one that is there. And the third I would talk about is really the need for transparency and communication from an organizational perspective. I think people are wanting to know more, wanting to really get the insights from the company in a much more transparent way. And communication is superbly important, right from top down as well as from bottoms up, so that we are able to manage the expectation of the employees and at the same time get the objectives of the organization delivered.
Thank you so much. See, it looks very simple that people want transparency, and an HR leader says it's easy, but it's very difficult to practice that, put it into practice. That's a challenge. One example, I'll go to Samir.
Satish.
Any challenge, implication? Satish, sorry.
Yeah, no problems. So, the challenges are somewhere equal for all, somewhere unique to the industry or the organizations. I would primarily stick to the organization I come from, which is Siemens, which is a proud 175-year-old electrical engineering company now trying to rediscover itself as a technology company. And when I say this, I think Lipika will also agree to it, because we are going through similar transformations, right? So from the time when we knew that our motor or our switchgear is the best in the world and there is a queue of customers outside, now we have reached a stage where we have to co-create with the customers, because it's no longer the Snyders and ABBs who are my competition. It could be even Accentures and IBMs. So earlier, the engineering companies used to think, I am a product company, I have the best product, the customer will buy. And then for the panels and integrating them, anybody can do. Today, it's the reverse. The technology companies are saying, I will make the best front-end experience for your people. You tell me which motor you want, Siemens or Schneider or ABB. Yeah? So that's one fundamental business model change which is happening. And second, after the pandemic, now the workforce variability is become as another challenge. Number one, we are going to very soon have part-timers, temps, volunteers.
Stopping you because
Yeah.
Amitabh has to go. So I will
I'm
come
sure.
back to you. I'll come back
Yeah.
to you. You want to add any implication before I
yes.
go? Amitabh, I know you have to leave at 12:45. So you quickly tell the
Okay.
implication.
So he's putting a lot of pressure on me.
Yeah, he said
Yeah.
stress. No?
So yeah.
No, Deepika said stress.
Yeah.
Stress during the
So
panel
yeah.
discussion.
So
Yeah.
then also to give a very fair reply to what are the impact on this new evolving workplace and worker definition, I would say there are 4 impacts that I see.
Yeah.
One is on the man management or man managerial relationship, from task focused, and so now it is like more task focused, but then how do you build? In the previous time, you had some time to build a relationship with your team member, and then you move to task. First you focus on per person, and then you move to task. But now, in the remote working or in the various ways of working, where half the team members are remote, some of them are distributed, and some of them are sitting with your office. That kind of connect is a challenge. Then second is about team. So that is dyadic man and the manager and the team is more of dyadic relationship. Second is about team. So how do you connect with the team? The way GP, made you clap and kind of connected with you all. That kind of we have to look for new avenues for that. Third is about systems. In this new ways of working, what happens to the HR system or simple of time management? System of performance management. And the fourth is about culture. How do you build trust in such an environment? So these are the 4 challenges I would say.
Very well summarized, very crisp 4 points. Amitabh, I know you are hard pressed for time. Give us 1 or 2 inputs from your side. Have you made any changes or you contemplate any changes in the way you run businesses to take care of these implications and challenges? Amitabh.
Sure, sir. And my apologies that I have to leave at 12:45. There's an in-person meeting which I can't avoid. I think the last 2-3 years, we have worked quite a lot on one word called culture at ICICI. And obviously, with all these changes, the aspirations of people, the newer set of people who are coming in, there's a massive recruitment which is happening. And that's one thing which we've been focused on to ensure that all our lakh 10,000 people are aligned with the cultural anchors of the definition which we put. I can speak for hours on the kind of work we are doing, but I'll keep it short to say that's been the core change. And one thing which we did, which I must share, a lot of time in organizations, because there are a lot of HR students here, when you put HR systems, sometimes the system takes precedence over the culture of the end goal. I think as an HR practitioner, we have to always keep evaluating our HR system to say, are they aligned to meet the cultural objective? And if they're at cross purposes, then do away with your systems and the policies. The example I'll bring to table here, that everybody talks about, collaboration as a culture. A lot of companies will talk about it, and then they will put up a performance practice, which will, instead of people working together, they'll start fighting with each other because you put a force rating scale. So that's just a short example, sir, I wanted to share before I hand it back to you.
But very nice. I'll request you to hold on for a few seconds only. Somebody from the organization,
Sure,
can you thank him, Amitabh? Somebody can come to the dais and just thank, take my mic and thank. Just thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Amitabh, for your insightful thoughts. So, hope to meet you in campus in person. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, Satish, I stopped you. You were talking about the implication. You want to add anything else?
Yes, so maybe a couple of topics. I was talking about variable workforce when very soon, apart from the generational diversity, there'll be part-timers, volunteers, temps who want to learn a particular job, and robots all working together. And in this model, how do you engage the workforce is another challenge. The next challenge for organizations when they are shifting from a product model to a solution model is how do you increase your sales capability? Sales is the driver of all growth, right? And then today the sales people have two primary challenges. Many of you would be engineers, some of you may be doing dual specialization in sales apart from HR. So today the elevator pitch that the sales people used to do earlier and practice before the mirror is gone missing because you don't meet the customer in front of the elevator. You actually use LinkedIn to connect to them, wish them on their birthday, send them, nudge them with your new proposals, etc., etc. And second is, whenever you are making a presentation to a customer, many times it is remote, like we are having now. So the skill of how to influence a room when you are not in the room is very, 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 very critical. And all this, just to make the last point, becomes very difficult when the organizations and the managers, they still are in the mentality which I quote Deepak Parekh here. He says Q is QT mentality. It's not Kayamat se Kayamat tak, it quarter se quarter tak.
Oh, very good. Clap for him. Clap for him. Deepika, we want to know from you what are you doing, what you propose to do, what the young students should prepare to come to the corporate world and do to manage these implications, deal with these challenges. Deepika.
Yeah. So again, kind of talking about a little bit from a Schneider standpoint, which is a global organization with almost 140,000 employees, and we have dealt a lot in having a hub kind of a model. So there is no central corporate office, so to say, but we have 4 hubs across the globe, India being one of them. And therefore, I think it is kind of a global approach with a local approach as well, which is one big change which has happened in the organization, and it's working out well. The second thing is around culture and leadership expectations. I think that's an extremely important part of the entire organization, and the fabric of the culture needs to be dealt with. So we focus a lot around our core values, leadership expectations. There's a lot of focus on recognition because when you're working remotely across so many locations, there is no face-to-face interaction, and therefore for really recognizing the efforts put in by employees. There's a lot of focus on recognition as a topic. And lastly, I would say that I think Schneider as an organization has invested a lot on communications. So right from the top level to the country management level to the manager level to a supervisor level, we just communicate and communicate and communicate. And I think that is something that has kept us going through a very difficult pandemic state. And I think even futuristically, that's going to be extremely pertinent.
Thank you. We also want to communicate and we recognize, you said recognition and communication, we recognize your contribution by a clap for Lipika. We are in the last round. We will go to Satish and Renu, understand what they are doing in their companies, what they are planning and what they want you to do. But you be prepared for the questions, and if you want to come ahead, please come and take your seats on the sofa. You'll get preference. Anybody who is ready with a question, come forward. Take a seat on the sofa. You just don't worry that sofa is reserved for VIPs. No, nothing like that. It's reserved for the people who have got a good question to ask. Okay? So be prepared. Now I'll come to Renu. We are discussing about the solutions. Solutions are the responses.
Yes, we're talking about solutions to this response to the ever evolving and dramatically evolving new ways of working or change of workplace and definition of workforce and so on. And somebody used the word escalator pitch, and I was just thinking that how do I make an escalator pitch in an audience when most of us are on cell phones, and this is a reality. So, what we are doing in Shankar, I'll just say that we have obviously discussed a lot in the team, and what we are doing is broadly three things that we are doing. One is acknowledge, one is evolve, and one is respond. So when I say acknowledge, we are acknowledging the times has changed. There are organizations who are just saying, come back to work, as if nothing has changed in the last 2 years, without acknowledging that employee behavior has changed, without acknowledging that, while working from home, a full-time home was a response to a crisis, there are a lot of learnings from that, and we have to acknowledge that. We also acknowledge that, a great resignation is not a passe, it is a fact. We are also acknowledging that quiet quitting is also a fact, and quiet working also is a fact. You have to also consider your team members who would just have some common purpose with you, and they would work with you and produce or give results even by working for maybe 12 hours, 14 hours. So quiet working is also a fact. By acknowledging is one thing, and we are also acknowledging, GP sir, that one size doesn't fit all.
Okay.
Then after acknowledging, what are we doing? We have worked together in many discussions that we had with the senior management team, when some managers said that bring them all to work, nothing has changed. And we are saying that no, acknowledge means evolve. So we are evolving, and what we are doing is that, what our response is, we are doing a lot of new connect forums, a lot of town halls in a very varied kind of structure, but very regular, to connect with people. We are organizing, say, even if you are working remotely, once in a quarter you have to meet as a team to, again, while somebody said in the morning that when values are, they are like static, but they are not. You have to repurpose your values. Like diversity as a value has come so recently, or even inclusion as a value, or climate change as a concern to climate change as a value is an evolving thing. So repurposing, working together, dialogue, and as Lipika said, communication.
Wonderful.
That is our response.
Wonderful. Yeah, they're clapped. I didn't ask, they're clapped. That's it. That's called acknowledgement. That's called acknowledgement. He talked about one thing called samvad, that is communication. That's one. Number thing he said is a lot of connect. You can even call it in micro connectivity. Leaders and managers should spend more and more time on connectivity, social connectivity, emotional connectivity, personal connectivity. That's what he said. I think Satish, this is the last question, your last answer.
There are a lot of things that we are doing. I would like to highlight 5 very quickly. Number 1 is there is a gradual shift from task to trust that we are trying to implement. This sounds like a motherhood statement. I'll give 2 examples.
One is task to trust.
Yeah.
What is 2?
So number 2 is the leadership framework itself.
Leadership framework has changed, number 2.
Yeah, number 2.
3.
Number 3 is well-being.
Well-being.
Yeah. And number 4 is I just wrote it down. Yeah, number 4 is own your career.
Own your career.
To employees.
Wonderful.
And last but not the least is what is the impact of what is the ownership of management
Very nice.
in this topic?
Wonderful. You see how I manage the time? I said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you see the agile pressure on him. So you can't elaborate one now. I said 2, 3, 4, 5. Clap for me also. Okay. Now the framework is ready. We know what are the changes have happened. We know what are the implications. We also know from 4 organizations what they're doing. I mean, whether it's in Samvad or leadership framework or trust, all that they're doing. Now it's for you to ask them questions. Okay. So how do you do on that? You want to come here and ask questions? No, you come to the dais and also it will take more time. Borrow this. Beg, borrow, steal. Come. Yeah. Quickly, your name and your question.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, everyone. My name is...
Oh, podium. Okay. So, others also come. Take a queue. Mark a queue. Come. Wonderful. So, no more good morning. Just name and your question.
My name is Arif Billah. I am from the MBA HRM batch of 22-24. So, in the first phase of the discussion, during the inauguration of Kshitij 2022, our respected Dean, Dr. Andrew Datta, said about climate change. And
what is your question?
So, I would like to ask Satish sir about how Siemens intend to be carbon neutral by 2030, and net carbon emission, it has reduced to around 130 kilotons. So how do they want to accomplish this, keeping in mind the changes in organization?
You can say, great question, I will answer during lunchtime. You can say, or you want to answer, you can answer.
If I permit, I would like to answer.
Yeah, but 30 seconds.
Okay. So the time starts now.
Yeah.
So sustainability is one of the key frameworks of Siemens. I will give you 2 examples of how we do. Yeah. By 2030, we have decided we will exit from all coal-based businesses all over the world, which today consists of 40% of my revenue. That is statement number 1. Yeah. And number 2, the stock awards that our top management get globally, there are 3 parameters, and one of them is CO2 reduction. So their personal earning is impacted if we don't do well on the green mission.
Oh, thank you so much. What impressed me is an HR manager talking like a business manager. That's a great reflection of HR in business. Great reflection. Yeah, second question.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Akhil Mathur. My question is again to Satish sir. Sir, you mentioned about doing digital to becoming digital. My question is, I was reading that Siemens and NVIDIA are working together, coming up with an industrial metaverse.
Okay.
So my question to you about that is that how is that change being taken by the employees, and how is HR also managing this change?
Very good. How the employees are taking it and how HR is managing this particular change.
So you mentioned about Siemens collaborating with something. I didn't hear that well. Metaverse. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, with NVIDIA for the industrial metaverse.
Correct. So
Good question.
we are also in a journey. I mean, not that we have done something great. Thanks that this question came to me. Shifting from product to solutions is not easy. So we have launched a new platform called Accelerator. Accelerator basically is a world's first open source platform for the digitalization journey of companies. So whatever end of digitalization you do, you could put up your product or solution there, and it is not owned by Siemens. The platform creates a value and everybody generates. Now here, your question about employees, how they are taking it, and how does HR manages it. Yeah. Employees, I would be honest, are still learning of what this is capable of, and how we are helping. We are, as Lipika said, communicate. One. Second, we have gone one step ahead by actually introducing an additional sales incentive only for digitalization sales that happens through the Accelerator platform. So this is how you generate interest, sell the future to people.
Okay. I hope he has been able to sell his idea to you. Yeah, come. Next question, please. Okay.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Neha Shukla. My question's to Lipika ma'am. Ma'am, we've been talking about employee well-being. So I want to understand, because Schneider is a global organization, I want to understand how do policies about employee well-being differ across countries, and how are these differences perceived by the employees?
Very good question. How do you standardize globally? And how employees are perceiving what you think is well-being? Yeah. Lipika.
Sure. So, very good question, and thanks for asking, because Schneider as an organization has been a pioneer in the area of well-being, and we started the journey on well-being pretty early, from almost 2014 onwards, while you see a lot of companies doing it only during the pandemic or prior to the pandemic. So we have something like a strategic priority. So well-being has been a strategic priority from a people priority standpoint right from 2014, where we looked at the dimensions of physical, mental, social, and emotional. And that is a global mandate that we have, that we follow that particular model. However, as I mentioned earlier, the model is pretty much global. The concepts are global, but the application of that is done at a country level. So a country, depending on the culture of the organization, depending on what is available from different elements, we customize it depending on the needs of the local employees.
So it's a localization, huh? It's a localization.
So it's a global plus local, but the framework is pretty much global.
Frame is global. Wonderful. Can I add something? Lipika, I'm consulting one large company, an MNC. They put a lot of money in doing well-being practices. And the women association, the wives association, they registered. He said, "Bahut ho gaya. We do not want our husbands go to you on Saturday for the tests and Sunday for the counseling. No more well-being." That means they have not understood that well-being practices will not succeed unless well-being culture is practiced. So getting people on their weekends for doing well-being is not considered a well-being. So I hope you got what I said. Lipika, not for you, it's some another company. Yeah, next question, come.
Very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Malhar Mohapatra. My question is from Ms. Renu Bora. Ma'am, with the change
You told your name?
Yes.
Yeah. No, for her. Yeah. Say.
With the change in work...
No, your name.
My name is Malhar Mohapatra.
Malhar Mohapatra. Double M. Come, next question. Yeah, question.
With the change in work and workplace, the workforce is changing. So the person sitting next to you at your workplace can be of varying gender and sexual minorities, of different age groups. How is that change being adapted to in organizations today, and what is the road ahead?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, so your question is about, Malhar, thanks a lot. The question is about how are we building diversity. First of all, are we cognizant that the diversity is required in the organization? We should believe in it. Just by saying that we need to have more women in the organization, but manager not accepting that there should be women in their team, and not accepting that women can work as a forklift operator in the warehouse becomes a challenge. So first of all, you have to change the mindset or challenge the mindset of managers that you have to bring in diversity, and there is a business case for diversity. Be it, you talked about race, you talked about sexual orientation and so on. That is one. So challenging or creating a mindset. And B is what we are doing in Shankar in a very small way, is that we publish dashboards to lot of depth, so that we can monitor and we have diversity goals in the organization.
Okay. Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Can we take some more? Yeah. We have time till 1:15. Yeah. 90-minute session. We have cut short to 60 minutes. Come.
So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Prerna Kanwal from MBHRM Batch of 2024. My question is that since we're talking about changing work and workplace, one major change that we've seen is the rise of gig economy, right? So now more people are self-employed and are willing to work freelance. So my question is that how do you think that this thing will change? Like, how will the recruitment process change?
Okay. Good question. So if gig is the new format of employment, so what is the implication for you, and how are you managing, how are you dealing with? We'll start with Lipika. We'll go ask these questions to all. Lipika?
Yeah, so a lot is now being looked at from a skill standpoint when it comes to gig workforce. So let's say we are to hire for a particular skill set. What we do is we look out for such people, and there are organizations supporting gig workforce as well. We hire the person on a contractual basis saying, okay, this is the project, we hired you for 3 months. You are going to support on this project, and depending on the number of hours the individual is actually contributing as part of the project, the contract is accordingly formulated. So there are ways and means of looking at different kind of gig workers. One is on skills, one is on a project-wise basis. The other would be really looking at, contributing in whichever way, not really looking at the number of hours. So different kinds of contracts are being worked out as far as the alternative workforce is concerned.
Wonderful. Thank you, Lipika. You want to add anything, Satish? From the gig point of view? Gig economy.
Yeah.
Workforce?
So I think today, 1 in every 5 person in the world below 25 years is an Indian. Yeah. And therein, a significant population is the homemakers or the housewives who are currently being tapped by many organizations. I think Axis Bank is doing a wonderful job. They've created a platform to attract gig workers who are primarily housewives.
Yeah, I know.
To do
Axis
to
Bank
work.
made a bold statement that we believe in work from anywhere.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
made a bold
And
statement.
second, just a quick example. The other day, last week, I was traveling from a place called Jalgaon to Aurangabad in Mumbai. Jalgaon is not a very known place, and the person who drove me, the driver, he had it was a huge car, and I asked him, "Are you the owner of this car?" He says, "My son is an ethical hacker from Jalgaon, and he works remotely for a couple of companies, and it is his entire income."
So
The
now I know where the hackers live.
22-year-old son.
Yeah. Renu, you want to add?
I
on
just
the gig?
add, yeah, so we also have gig workers, and we hire gig workers in a big number to handle the spikes. Yes, we have a very strong contract with them, which is like high on pay and a very well-defined contract. The challenge from HR side for gig workers in the coming year would be more about how do you have the shared values with them, and how do you ensure that wellness also is there for the gig workers. We can talk about wellness and well-being for our full-time employees. How do you ensure that the same theme is there for them? These are the challenges.
So there are 2 more gig students who ask question. Gig students? Hello? You are a gig student or regular student? Regular student, come. Ask a question.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ruchita. My question is to Lipika ma'am. And we talk about hyper-specialization in various HR policies. Is it applicable to well-being policies too?
So, Lipika is there.
Yes, ma'am.
You repeat.
We talk about hyper-specialization.
Hyper-specialization.
Yeah. Is it applicable to well-being policies also?
See, basically what she's saying is customization. Each person, is it in the well-being also, are you customizing based on the individual need? That's the question.
Absolutely, and a very good thought. Actually, well-being policies are pretty much hyper customized to the extent of, blue-collared employees, a particular plant in India, how culturally a Baroda plant will be different from a Bangalore plant. What are those policies which will be implemented over there? In fact, we actually personalize it to a great extent by co-creating those interventions at a factory level. So let's say, and I'll give you a very quick example. We did
No. She's very happy.
Yeah, okay.
No
so
question.
that's fine.
She's very happy. She's very happy with your answer. She's very happy with your answer. And very personalized, no? Customized. Your question has been personally answered by Lipika. You say thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. It answers my question.
Thank you.
Last question.
Good afternoon. My name is Hridaya Ramnarayanan. My question is about juggling multiple simultaneous changes. We always say that this is one of the biggest challenges when it comes to change management processes, and yet in the pandemic, this is what kept happening. We kept juggling multiple simultaneous changes. What are some of the learnings that you had in that period and you would like us to take forward in the workplace of the future?
One learning.
A personal learning is that change, there are many learnings, but I think technology, we had this mindset that technology can't be given to people who are maybe less educated or less of higher age bracket, but I think that myth has been broken.
Okay. Sir, one learning.
I would like to quote Nietzsche, who said, "Was uns nicht umbringt, Macton stacker, which means what doesn't kill us makes us stronger.
So that is your learning.
That's my learning.
Okay. Lipika, one learning during the COVID time.
I have learned this element around RE, reimagine, reassess, and redesign. Each and every policy that I'm making today at a global level is really thought through from a standpoint. So I'm actually reimagining everything that I'm doing.
Thank you so much. I will also share my learning. I studied in Cuttack, Bhubaneswar, Ravenshaw, Vaniwar, Madhusudan Law College and all. I'm very fond of Pahal Rasgulla. During COVID time, I learned how to make rasgullas. I made it. I myself made it. It's possible to do. Possible to do. So questions are done. Okay. So we are asking a one-liner from each of the panelists. One-liner on the whole topic. Lipika, you want to start? A one-liner for the benefit of the students on the whole theme. One-liner.
Be passionate, be agile, and really skill yourself for the future.
Wonderful. Satish?
Keep learning, keep experimenting, keep growing.
One-liner.
I think be open to change.
Be open to change. Okay. Wonderful. I am also supposed to add one-liner. See, end of the day, in the new normal, not necessarily COVID. COVID has some impact. We have learned new normal. You must understand what the employee wants. So I have done a research. I will tell you, I got 3 words from the employees. Grace, space, and peace. Grace, space, and peace. All your HR activity, all your management interventions, all your leadership traits must cater to address these 3 fundamental needs of the new age employee: grace, peace, and space. With that, I will close the panel discussion and request the organizers to take over. Thank you.
I take this opportunity to thank our speakers for such an enriching discussion and Dr. G.P. Rao for an efficient moderation of the discussion. On behalf of School of Human Resource Management, XIM University, and ZIMAR, I now invite Dr. Shubhra Patnaik, faculty member, School of Human Resource Management, to felicitate our dignitaries.
Thank you.
Big round of applause for our moderator. On behalf of NHRDN Bhubaneswar chapter, I now invite Ms. Bobby Patnaik, Vice President, NHRDN Bhubaneswar chapter, to felicitate our dignitaries.
Welcome back, everyone. We are now starting with our student case study competition, a competition organized by XIMR in collaboration with NHRD and Bhubaneswar chapter, which aims at providing the students with an opportunity to use their knowledge, research, and presentation skills to discuss the dynamic of the future of the HR industry. The theme for today's case competition is Changing Work and Workplace Implication for Businesses. The case competition saw nationwide participation. We had more than 700 registrations. The competition consisted of 3 rounds. Round 1 consisted of a quiz to the field of HR. It tested students on their knowledge and speed. Top 50 teams qualified to round 2, where a case study in alignment with the theme of Kshitij, Changing Work and Workplaces Implication for Businesses, was given, and teams had to prepare a solution in a 3-slide presentation. Out of these submissions, top 11 teams with the best solution and ideas have been selected from across the country to present the same in front of our esteemed jury today in round 3. I wish them luck and also take this opportunity to introduce to you all our esteemed jury members. As jury, we have with us Ms. Renu Bohra and Mr. Satish Mohapatra, who are also present with us for our panel discussion. Kindly note that every team will get to present for 7 minutes, after which the floor would be open for a 3-minute Q&A session with the jury. With this, I would call upon the first team, HR crew from XIM University, to kindly come on stage and begin with their presentation. All the best, team.
Hello.
Hello.
Good afternoon, everyone. We, the team HR crew, comprising of me, Swarasmita, and Tushar from School of Human Resource Management, XIM University, would extend our gratitude for providing us this opportunity. Beginning with our presentation, while going through the interesting case study provided to us, we have come across 3 main issues, namely market, cultural, and policy. To drive the workplace changes, the implications can only be achieved with a business continuity plan. So we have come up with a business continuity plan with a REVIVE model, where R stands for relationship management. Here, we'll be providing the customers our services at a lower price with a cooperation agreement between or among the stakeholders such as hotels, vendors, tour operators, so that there will be a win-win philosophy among all the stakeholders. To establish the travel bubbles, we are suggesting strategic alliances with the tour operators to identify the new potential market with a government collaboration in order to comply with the COVID-19 protocols. To improve the virtual tour and experience, we have come up with the integration of AI and VR, where we'll be providing a personalized customer tour experience, which will be discussed in detail by Tushar. To encourage the brand advocates and gain the customers from our competitors, we'll be using word-of-mouth marketing through the customer testimonials across all the social media platforms. Next slide. In order to overcome the stages, in order to overcome the culture clash, we have come across 6 stages after acquisition, where we suggest the organization to conduct an effective culture audit so as to identify the gap between the existing employees and the new employees by setting the direction through the help of the senior leadership team in order to energize the organization and the employees. Apart from this, we are also suggesting to celebrate and embrace the culture change to drive the execution through the help of the senior team. So you can see all the lead actions which has to be taken at each of the stages is clearly mentioned in the PPT. To implement this, we'll be opting a top-to-bottom approach where the HR function will be acting as a catalyst to drive the culture change. The change management strategy will be implemented through the respect framework where we'll recognize the employees' efforts by providing exciting work opportunities and taking care of their future security through multiple benefits and equitable pay. In order to achieve this, we'll be providing education and training to our employees by improving their working conditions through the integration of work-life balance and employee trust. Over to Tushar.
So now that Swarasmita has already explained how do we take care of the business, now let's look at things from the employee perspective. So from employee perspective, we have to ensure, that how do we redefine these jobs for these employees? So what do we actually do? First of all, as mentioned in the case, we have to ensure that everybody gets equitable amount of work. And what do we do here? We offer them job sharing, where every work has been shared among the employees. Apart from this, as COVID has already taught us, we have to be very flexible as organizations, as HRs, as people. So that is one way of going about it. And lastly, one thing which I want to emphasize upon is the sustaining employee well-being, which is very much evident in today's world. Employee burnout is something which we are seeing across organization, and great resignation is an output of that. So what do? We ensure that the work-life balance of the employees is taken care of. So how do we analyze the case further? We did a little bit of primary research to understand what do people expect in cases which happened with us in case of COVID. So we did a primary research where we took the inputs from people that how would they feel connected to the travel industry. And more than 40% of the people told that they want to go to virtual tours. Being at home, they want to see places. How can they do that? And this is how they do that. So what we did here is we connected everything to Maslow's hierarchy needs, which is all of us have studied Maslow's hierarchy need. Can't we connect it to the travel industry? This is how we have. So based on the 5 levels of Maslow's, we have divided into destinations resources, destination safety and security, attractions, partnerships, holistic culture, and unique locations. But as an organization, how do we do that? We do that with the help of our people, our employees, who are our brand advocates. And the strategies used is as simple as the social media engagement, leveraging technology, and a personalized approach to each and every customer. Lastly, the implementation roadmap. The implementation roadmap will be in 4 phases, which is explore, plan, implement, and control. In exploration stage, we'll be trying to understand what are the organizational issues which the company has to take care of in terms of internally, in terms of people, and externally in terms of business. Then we have to plan out how do we go about it, what are the policy changes we have to do, what are the frameworks we have to look at. In the implementation stage, we roll out communication plans, we try to understand what is the agenda going to be, how do we take care of everything, how do we use technology. And lastly, in the control phase, we look at how is the impact of such policies, what is the attrition rate, how is the attrition rate impacted, what is the employee pulse survey saying. All this being said, one thing we have to focus on here is that the implementation is very subjective in today's world, because we live in a very dynamic VUCA world, as we all were discussing in the morning. We have to ensure that when these strategies are implemented, it has to be taken in the utmost critical manner, where we take care of employees and the business hand in hand. With this, we come to the end of our presentation. Thank you so much. We are open to questions.
Thank you, team. Now I would request the jury to go forth with their questions.
Yeah, thanks the team, Tushar and Kshitij. My question to you is that when you were working on this case study, how did you arrive at the solution?
So ma'am, first approach for us was to understand what do people expect. I mean, all of us went through the lockdown, right? So we tried to understand from our relatives, from the people we know that how can we connect to the travel industry despite being in a lockdown. And that is when we came up with the virtual reality and how we can have virtual tours. And that was one approach to it. Second approach was that we looked at different industries and businesses. How did they take care of their times when they had COVID?
You did some secondary research.
Secondary and primary both, ma'am.
Primary in what sense?
Ma'am, we asked people what would they prefer from travel companies. Can we go back to the slide if possible? Move to the second last slide, please. Yeah, that one. Yeah, this one, fourth slide. So ma'am, in primary research, you can see we asked people that what would they prefer from the companies which are into travel industries, since there is no business for them. And they told that they will preferably go for virtual tours. That is something which they will feel connected to.
Okay, I got your methodology. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so thanks, Tushar and Kanchanda. I think I like the in-depth presentations that you made, and also the linking up Maslow's hierarchy to travel business hierarchy, yeah, which is unique. So my question may be, since you are CHRO, right? I assume the both of you or one of you is the CHRO. Of the plans that you made, implementation roadmap, explore, plan, implement and control, how would you communicate this, or how would you ensure that the last person in the chain of the organization who's working in some remote place or a resort where there is not even a mobile connectivity experiences this model?
So sir, I would say that when we are especially in a travel industry, the most important thing is to ensure that we have a highly developed communication channel. Because suppose we are a travel industry and we send 10 people for a tour, and we will always have a person who is our organization's representative. So we have to ensure as an organization that whatever communication, whether it's through mail, through any town hall or any other way around, in the office premises, if we are having any employee engagement activities, from the leadership, the top to bottom approach which Sarasmita talked about, we have to ensure that the communication plan is very robust. Because if we miss out on even one employee, then what happens is one resignation comes and the snowball effect happens. So the communication plan and the channel will play a major role. And in terms of what we'll do, I think webinars, personalized mails, HR looking at these employees, the HR business partner plays a very critical role in ensuring that all these things go to these employees in a very profound manner.
Also, initially, can you move to the second slide, please?
We are up with the time. Ma'am, the time is
Yeah,
over.
maybe quickly, 30 seconds for her.
Okay. So, sir, I have suggested a solution in the business continuity plan. Can you move to the second slide? So here, to promote the tourism in the rural areas also, we are suggesting establishing the travel bubbles, where we'll promote the domestic tourism along with the strategic alliances with all the tour operators, so that they'll visit the places and they'll tell them about our model and all.
That's a business model. The question was, how would you ensure that your last mile employee also understands this?
So that is only through a robust communication plan, to be very honest.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, team. Thank you, jury. Before we move to the next team, I'd like to like a reminder that each team is going to get 7 minutes. At the 6-minute mark, there would be a warning given that there is only a minute left. The next team with us will be presenting online. Now I would request the second team, challengers from the 4 School of Management, to begin their presentation online. All the best, team. Sharing rights are given to you guys. You can share your PPT online.
Hello, good afternoon, judges, and good afternoon, organizing team.
Good afternoon. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, so I'll be sharing my screen.
Yeah, we can see your screen. Go ahead.
Yeah, Aditya, you may begin.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I, along with my teammate Mahita, is going to present today the case that was appointed to us. We are the CHROs appointed by Travel Across to help
Rajat.
them with
I think we have
challenges
some issue
that
with
they
the
don't
sound.
face.
We can't hear you properly.
Rajat, maybe you need to keep your mic a little away from your, I don't know, or a little closer. Can you try again?
Mahita, you can move to the next slide.
I think there is some.
Aditya, they are requesting you to keep your mic closer. If you can hear us.
Oh, yeah. Am I audible now?
Yeah, or try to be a little louder.
Yes, sir. Okay, I'll start again. We are the CHROs appointed by Travel Across to help them with the challenges. I, along with my colleague Mahita, will be discussing the possible course of action that can be taken. Mahita, can you move on to the next slide?
He's asking to switch the slide.
As per our observations, Travel Across was performing really well in the pre-COVID era in terms of the growing sales, expansion of the operations, which can be attributed to their organizational culture and climate. They had a good work culture where employees were rotated in the job and they were supported by the department heads. They had a decentralized geographic structure and various learning and growth opportunities, which helped them in expanding across demographics. They also gave autonomy in the decision-making process, which allowed for innovation by the employees. However, post-COVID, certain issues ultimately led to a tarnished brand image of Travel Across, stemming from two major root causes: the effect of COVID and the effect of the acquisitions that were made. First, I will be covering COVID. The company as a travel group faced major crisis in terms of the dwindling customer base, which was mainly due to the various restrictions placed on travel and the fear of the spread of virus during the pandemic. As a result, huge revenue losses were acquired by the company. In terms of acquisition, the cultural change due to the recent acquisitions also started to flow. The newer employees felt lost. They couldn't relate to the mission or vision of the company, which resulted in a poor performance. The employees started resigning due to the mental strain and the highly toxic culture. Employees couldn't be rewarded for their performance, which led to high attrition rates. And also the earlier work-life balance, for which Travel Across was famous, was heavily disrupted as the lines of work and personal life were blurred. These issues forced Travel Across to start doing job cuts and increase the dependency on AI, which resulted in a panic amongst the employees. All these factors, along with the slow growth rate, led to the inability of Travel Across to integrate their employees with the organizational culture. Now, talking about the strategies that we thought of, since the travel restrictions and other factors were affecting the primary source of revenue for Travel Across, we decided to come up with certain alternative models that could generate revenue. The primary method can be creation of an online travel community where people can experience different places and culture from the comfort of their home. This can be through the creation of a virtual travel experience or simulation, providing travelers a platform to share and engage with certain travel stories, and the creation of blogs to create an engagement among people who look forward to start traveling again post-COVID. The secondary method is through the medium of renting ad spaces on Travel Across websites, where various bidders can bid for displaying their ads, and Travel Across can earn a certain percentage of the commission from these ads or give the ads for a certain rent. These initiatives, we believe, will help in repositioning the reputation and brand image of Travel Across and help in promoting engagement across the employees and customers of the organization. Now I would request Mahita to carry forward the presentation. Mahita, are you there?
Hello, thank you, Aditya. So as we saw, there are alternate revenue models that we need to incorporate in travel. organization.
In case you
Hello?
have a bandwidth issue, you may
Am I
switch off
audible?
you can switch off your video probably, because I think you have a network issue. We can't hear you clearly. The slides are anyways not there. So maybe one of you or both of you could switch off your videos and speak.
The team challenges, can you share your screen since it's not visible right now?
I'll be sharing the screen.
Yeah, is the screen visible?
No, it's not. We cannot see your slides. Do you want us to
Yeah.
share the screen?
So it's
Because we also
actually
have...
there's a lot of echo from the team's side, so I cannot hear anyone.
Is the screen visible now, Maheta, and the panel?
Now, yes.
Yeah, Maheta, you can continue.
Yeah, so as we just saw that alternative revenue models are required, so we need some new jobs that align with the alternate revenue models, and this will serve two purposes. First, it will reinforce the models that we are bringing to the organization, and second, it will create new learning and growth opportunities that will compensate for the jobs that were cut due to COVID and acquisitions. So few of the job profiles which we feel are necessary for the new revenue models are website manager, SEO optimizer, social media managers, and all. Apart from that, since Travel Across is currently not in a stage to reward its employees in monetary conditions, we propose recognition and trainings would serve the purpose. So here, shout outs and features on social media and websites would be a good option to provide recognition in forms of awarding them titles. And also training on the new job roles will serve the purpose. So this initiatives will improve employees' belongingness and their engagement in the organization. Sorry. Yeah, so how do we implement what we are suggesting? So here we have proposed Kotter's 8-step change management model, wherein we have to first create urgency. That is by telling them what are the positives of shifting to a new revenue model and telling them what are the losses that we will be facing when we are sticking with the same revenue model. Next is to form a coalition of all the leaders in the organization that are enabling the change. And this will be followed by developing a vision. That is, if a problem is well defined, it is half solved. So in similar lines, if a vision is well stated, that means we are in the right direction. This will be followed by communicating the vision. That will create buy-ins among all the employees, and it will also create or connect the vision with the learning opportunities and the performance. Next is to remove the obstacles. Now, one way to do this can be to reward the change enablers that we have identified in stage 2. Next would be short-term wins. Since this is a huge and a massive change from moving from one revenue model or transitioning from one revenue model to another, we would be required to recognize and celebrate our short-term wins. And after that, we have to consolidate all our short-term wins, be it launching a website for the travel community that is online, or be it the first 5 blog posts. So we have to consolidate all the gains. And finally, we would be anchoring the change, that is to embed this revenue model in our new organizational culture. And this is only possible through continuous support. Thank you.
Now I would request the jury to go forth with their questions.
Thank you, Rujuta and Rajat. No, I think this team was from 4. Same team?
Yes, sir. This was 4 School of
Yeah, so
Management team
Aditya,
challenges.
Aditya and Mahita, sorry. So, yeah, nice presentation. What I could not understand is that what is your role as CHRO, because you presented some new revenue model, but I could not maybe understand that what role will you as CHRO will play in the change management. Yeah.
So our role as a CHRO would be to enable the change. That is, as we speak about the 8 steps, we would be a team, we would be leading that team of the team that is enabling the change that we mentioned. So we would be leading the team so that the organization is clear with the vision, so that everybody knows how the vision is communicated, so that everybody is in the team. That is, we are creating buy-ins, and we are also celebrating short-term wins, consolidating it. So we would, yeah, ma'am, please go ahead.
She did not say anything. You can continue with your answer.
Sorry, there's a lot of echo. We cannot hear you guys properly. Yeah, now we can.
Yeah, so there is no, you can continue answering.
You can continue with your answer.
Okay, so we were saying that as CHRO, we would be the change enablers that would be leading the team. That is the team coalition we spoke about in stage number 2. So we would be creating buy-ins, we would be creating short-term wins for the team. We would be the change enablers that is guiding the team of the vision and communicating the same. In the initial stages, that this would be the process, and towards the end of the stages, we would be consolidating gains that we have, and we would be trying to embed the changes which we have done in the organizational culture. So as a CHRO, our team would be responsible to enable this change.
Okay, one more question. How did you arrive at this, this particular solution? What was the basis of this?
Sorry, ma'am, could you repeat the question?
What was the basis of arriving at the solution? Your solution is more towards coming out with a new revenue model and less to do with culture. Do you agree with this statement, or you have some other point of view?
So just to clarify your question, you're asking about the practicability of the solution?
Yeah, you can say so, maybe.
Okay.
Or I would say
So
rather
just to
contextualization of the...
explain it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as we spoke about that, it is coming from a model. To apply it in the real scenario, it would be, firstly, we are telling them what are the positives if they shift to this, and what are the negatives if we don't shift to the new revenue model. Now, when we speak of short-term gains, to apply this, it could be that launching of a website or a travel community is one milestone that we have achieved. Next milestone could be that 5 of our successful blog posts are on the community, and let's say 2 or 3 of our simulation or the virtual experience in the travel community has been achieved. So this is how we will operationalize our vision.
Okay, I just have a quick question. I know you have network issues. So you said you will get into alternate revenue models and hire new skills. So when you hire these new skills and get other different people, how will you manage the motivation of your internal people?
Sorry, sir, how we will manage the motivation of?
Your internal talent.
Internal employees.
That's right.
Okay, so as mentioned in the case, we already have a website. So we are assuming that we already know that the employees know how to handle a website and social media. But just to be focused, we would be, and as the case mentions, that job rotation is one of the USPs of the organization, that they have roles and they continuously focus on learning and development opportunities. So the employees who are already there, who manage the website currently, we will be asking them to train our future employees so that they can not replace, but they can work together as a team to manage the same. So we believe this will keep up their morale and bring back the learning and development environment that was there.
Thank you, Mahita and Aditya.
Thank you, team, for your presentation. Thank you, jury.
Thank you, jury, and thank you, organizing team XIM.
Now you can take your leave. Now I would request the third team, HR Ninjas from XIM University, to come on the stage and begin with their presentation. All the best, team.
Do you know that according to a research and survey, there is a decline of 72% of international tourist activities in 2020. Even in the year 2021, there is a decline of tourist activities by 71%.
Around 40% of the Indian tours and travel company were facing a shutdown during the pandemic. And these two facts are enough to establish the kind of dilemma that Travel Across was facing in this case.
Good afternoon, everyone. We are Team HR Ninjas from XIM University today going to present our big idea, our solution on the case of changing work and workplaces. So without any further delay, let's get started. Before proceeding ahead with the solution and need analysis, let us try to understand what the case was actually talking about. So the case was actually across an amazing organization named as Travel Across. It was pioneer in its field, working amazingly well, having a lot of appreciation and rewards because of its culture, its operation, its working condition. But as we know, the COVID-19 pandemic came into existence and things started to change. It not only get a backlash in terms of its customers, but it also get backlash in terms of its employees. It started to lose its revenue and its employees. Now the case was talking about, as a new CHRO, what are the steps that we need to take in order to retain the customers, in order to retain the employees, and to make a change in a long and a short term.
Problems are like an iceberg. There are issues which are above the surface, but there are a lot of issues that are below. And these are very hidden, and these are the major pain points. So hence, we made the Ishikawa diagram. We used proper 5M design approach to understand why this is happening. And as you can see, on the bone, we have plotted 4 points, which are toxic work culture, issue in employer branding, high attrition, and culture adjustment issues. But we went one step further. Why is a toxic work culture there? It's because of insecurity from new talent. A multi-generational workforce is in place and people don't trust each other there. Talking about issue in employer branding, there is a slower business growth and high job cuts. Talking about high attrition, there's a lack of growth opportunities and a tarnished brand image. When you talk about culture adjustment issues, there is misalignment of mission and vision and also change in the reporting structure. But we tackled this both head on. Our solutions are tailor-made for problems arising due to acquisition and problems that have arisen due to inherent problems in the organization. Next slide, please. Our solution is based on 5 pillars of credibility, fairness, camaraderie, pride, and respect. When we talk about any organization, when it goes for acquisition, there is always a misalignment in the mission, vision, and the culture. So what to be done about it? SWOT and SOAR are 2 tools that we are proposing, which help in proper gap analysis of the processes and systems. Obsolete ones can be done away with, and the good ones can be retained and improved upon. Talking about change and acquisitions, it's often said that it starts when 2 CEOs start talking to each other, and it ends with 2 CEOs coming together. But there needs to be a one step forward to this also. Discussions and multiple rounds of discussions need to happen at all levels of the management to ensure that culture properly transitions from a original organization to an acquired organization. Talking about, we need to do, as a third point of a solution is that we need to have a good employee surveys. We need to understand who are the top performers, who are the drivers of change, and these people need to be identified and made change agents. And with a robust change management plan, they can really drive change through that.
But Tushar, my question is, who are change agents?
These change agents are, Vedant, people who have got a lot of influence, who are good performers and influencers in their own domain.
And how I will identify a change agent in your organization?
So, to identify them, these are certain badges that are there. They can wear them. And as you can see here, it's mentioned, I am change. And there are 3 levels to it. There's a level of scout, second, a champion, and third, a leader. So this ensures that in their own spheres of influence, they'll be driving change. Somebody from the top echelons of the organization will be holding a badge of a leader. Somebody on the lower ends would be handing a badge of a scout. Coming to the next part of the solution, there are certain measures which ensure that our given solution is supported properly. A focus on policies, which is about inclusion and centralized policies which cater to the fairness and the pride pillar, which we have proposed. Second is the learning growth, which is about having platforms wherein people come together and share knowledge. Peer-to-peer learning it's all about. It builds camaraderie in the organization. Change management should be done by the ADKAR model. And when we talk about rewards, recognize and reward, it's about rewarding and recognizing the best talent, but also having a plan for the people who are not doing well, so that they also become performers of tomorrow. And this caters to credibility in the organization. And in the end, embrace differences, wherein informal connects, bonding happens in the organization, and the organization comes together as one. This builds mutual respect in the organization. Over to you, Vedansh.
Thanks, Tushar. So we have seen that how to resolve the conflicts or how to resolve the issues that were occurring due to acquisitions. Now let us try to understand how to resolve the issues that were happening on organization level as a whole. We have came up with a React model because now the travel across have to react. So the React model is about reducing the workload, focusing on distribution of resources, focusing on improvement of team bonding, some of the re-engineering in terms of compensation, and then some alternative strategies such as change in leadership, such as focusing on transformational leadership, putting on internal portals for top-down and bottom-to-top communication. Apart from that, focusing on employee value proposition. That's all our solution, and we really believe that this solution will create an impact in not only short term, but also in long term. Thank you so much.
Thank you, team. Now I may ask the jury to proceed forward with the questions.
Yeah, so good presentation. You used so many models, right from Ishikawa to SWOT analysis and so on. Though I found that there were too many things working simultaneously in the organization, and also the change thing that you spoke about, where you had 3 kind of badges, one for leaders and one for scouts and so on. But overall, good effort. When you talk about reducing workload and you're saying they will change the KPIs, how would you change without changing the processes? I didn't see anything about looking at the processes. You just wrote reducing workload. So how will you do that?
Absolutely, ma'am. So the reducing the workload is having various fractions. Changing the KPIs and KRA is one of the factor, because now the organization is not working on office first model, it is working on a hybrid model. And as a lot of organizations have only also changed the KPIs and KRA based on teams, not only on individual basis. This is the first focus point. Second focus point is allocation of resources and allocation of the workload. In a lot of organizations it happened that the work is allocated to an individual who is free. But we are suggesting that it should be based on the level of difficulty, it should be based on the level of proficiency an individual is happening.
Ma'am, in addition to that, redesign KPIs and KRs is because there have been job cuts. So it means that there needs to be a certain job enlargement to happen. People will have to do a little more work than they should. And that's why redesigning KPIs are a must. And the employees will also like it, because they, in the case it's mentioned that they really like job rotation. And so that's why I mentioned that point.
Thank you. So I think I liked, I agree to what Renu said. You went into a lot of details on the HR front. One question is, Vedansh and Tushar, right? The question is, you wrote something about recognition, rewards and recognition, high performers, low performers. So traditionally, when the managers find it easy to follow a democratic approach to distribute the budget, how would you handle this change management? You spoke about the ADKAR model and a lot about emphasized on change management, the fundamental change management of how to reward your best performers disproportionately vis-a-vis others.
Sir, are you, I could not, can you just simplify the question?
So in one of your previous slides, there was a thing on you wanted to reward high performers and you did much more than you wanted to reward low performers. You wanted to differentiate. Was that there?
No, that was not. Can you just go back to the last slide?
Then
please?
I read it wrongly, my bad.
What was meant by, can you just go back to the last slide?
Last slide.
I mean, the previous one. So what we meant by this was that it's fine, reward.
Okay, but help the low performers by
Yes,
proper
yes.
plans. But how is it sustainable? Then I change my question. How is it sustainable that you are not doing well and you still want to hold on to the people who are not performing?
Sir, actually, according to a case, a lot of the employees are leaving this organization because they think that automation is taking their place. Keeping that thing in mind, we thought that they are not performing well because they are having a fear of missing out. We want to train those employees on those job roles in which they are interested, in which there is a vacancy. So keeping that thing in mind, we have proposed this.
Agree. That's a communication topic you are bringing out about. I am referring to best performers versus poor performers. And do you want to carry on the poor performers when you say that you are doing change management well?
Sir, yes, we want to carry on the poor performers because we believe that the employees are rational. If they are trained properly, if they're handheld properly in a certain way, they'll again start performing. And this is very important for the EVP and branding also. Right now, Travel Across is an organization that is, the brand image is totally tarnished. When employees outside see, okay, even the low performers are being handheld, they're supported so that they become good performers for the future, they'll also want to join the organization. So with that thought, we are.
Okay, noble thoughts, but think about the practicality of this in a business scenario. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
The next team would be joining us online. Now I would request the fourth team, Team Clingers from IIM Shillong, to begin with their presentation. All the best, team. You can share your screen with us.
Hi, thank you, Tim. So I'll be sharing my screen. Tim, can you just confirm that if our screen is visible?
Yes, your screen is visible to us.
Okay. So.
Hello.
1 second. Can I just.
Hello.
Yes. Hello.
So
We can hear
starting. So hello everyone. We are team Clingers from IIM Shillong, and today we are presenting our case solution for Travel Across. So post COVID, Travel Across was badly affected like its other competing firms in the travel industry. So what we did was we initially listed down all the problems that Travel Across was facing and identified buckets to group this problem into 5 major categories. The categories were work-life balance, reward and motivation, employee engagement, alignment with mission and vision, and psychological safety concern. So these were the buckets. Now the approach here was to resolve these issues was to prioritize the problem first, then identify the focus area using the organizational network analysis, and finally to devise a 5-step cultural change methodology to implement action plan to resolve this issue. In problem prioritization, we choose factors such as travel industry relevancy and contribution to the bottom line, and used weighted average method to understand the issues to focus at first. Based on the prioritization, we created a value creation framework to define the HRM objective for each of the issues we had identified and the business value that we intend to create through it. Just to give you an example, in work-life balance, the objective was to reduce attrition and achieve high productivity. And the business value that we intend to create through this was lower number of productive talent leaving the organization. Now we'll deep dive a bit into the ONA part.
So we looked at the problems. So once we found out the problems in our organization, what we looked at is where to focus our solutions, so that we can increase attrition and reduce attrition and increase engagement. Now, so to solve the above problems, first we need to develop a structured way to visualize how communications, informations, and decisions flow through an organization and how to control those parameters. And organization network analysis is a way which can provide a fresh lens into how these teams and networks really collaborate, behave, and develop the overall organization culture. So we have taken here a hybrid ONA approach. Here, active ONA, it serves employees to gain an understanding of how they feel about their colleagues, their relationships, and their place within the organization. Now, for travel across, we are going to collect data on 3 parameters, such as collaborative or communicative, next is empowerment, and third is satisfaction. Now, passive ONA provides an objective and unbiased view of how people are actually working and collaborating with each other. Now, it can also be used to automatically measure the changes in network behaviors after a organization restructure happens. Now, which was the case in case of travel across. Now, when combined these two sets and developing a model, this provides a revolutionary 360-degree view both to understand how people feel and what they do. Now, once the model is developed and once we put in these inputs, what are the output for this? What we need to calculate is engagement risk score for each connections of those networks and for each individual. Now, this engagement risk score will be based on 3 parameters. First is network centrality. Second is responsiveness. Third is value alignment. Now, this network centrality is based on degree of centrality, betweenness centrality, and closeness centrality. Now, what are these 3? Now, this degree centrality, it assigns an importance score based on simply on the number of links held by each node. So what it does, it used to finding out very connected individuals. We can quickly connect with the wider network. And second is the closeness centrality. What it helps us to find out is the broadcasters in the organization. And the third that we are going to calculate is the betweenness centrality. What it does, it finds out the individuals who influence the flows around the system. Now, finally, the responsiveness is also calculated using activities, nudges, and average response time using our passive ONA, where the organization people connect through different collaborative systems such as emails, Zooms. So we'll be collecting data through these systems. Next, the third is the final value alignment, and this is calculated using satisfaction score and empowerment score. Now, once this output score is defined, what we are going to look at is how do we derive values from this output score or from this hybrid ONA. So what we are going to do is we're going to leverage this individual and group level signatures in organization network to take informed decision. So first thing that we look at signatures, how to look at signatures and how to derive those values. So first that we are going to look at is ideation signature. Now, in this ideation signature, this person interacts with many internal stakeholders, right? So he can bring in new ideas. So we should utilize them as an organization for critical policy projects. Second thing is influence signature. Now, this influence signature is those people who influence within the team and outside the team as well. So as an organization, we should use them to persuade their co-workers to build a cohesion into the system. Next is the vulnerability signature. This vulnerability signature, these are the critical employees who has a good relationship with external stakeholders, such as suppliers and other organizations' external stakeholders. So we should create a backup plan for those critical roles. Next, the team-based signatures are efficiency signature, where this efficient team, we do know that what are those activities or what are those team building activities that these teams create to build a good cohesion. So we can replicate those teamwork learnings to other teams as well. Next, the final one is the silo signature. So based on these silos, organization team events can be taken place between those teams where the link is very weak. So we will use this signature to build our solution for the next.
So basically, from the human resource analytics that we have did, and we have understood from the ONA, you know what all people are important, what all teams are lacking where. Now it's the time wherein you bring in your solution and say, okay, this is the guy, this is the problem, this is something. So basically, you might see this technology has been implemented everywhere. Sure. So getting into the detail part, okay. So here, if you see, we have a 5-step methodology to take care of all the problems that we have understood for the specific set of people. The first is the alignment with vision and mission, where the employee awareness and awareness programs will be done to align them with the visions. So through some e-learning module, and also rewards for people who exhibit work in the direction of company. Then there is employee engagement, wherein thank yous will be counted and they will be taken into consideration. Team training programs will be done, birthday and festival celebrations will be done. Then we come to psychological safety concern. So here mostly what will be done is career development program, some skill enhancement program, knowledge transfer session, and also mentorship programs to align people to the future goals of theirs. Now when we come to work-life balance, here we'll more provide resources and environment to create a very balanced and stress-free well-being. So here we'll be rewarding people for taking time off, some flexible work hours, some on-site gymming and everything, exercise related things that will help them freshen up. And now coming to the reward and motivation part, wherein we'll be having both the financial as well as non-financial incentives based on different majors. Now just coming to the key capabilities that we have to build it for this.
Your
So in
time
that,
is up.
we have, okay, sure guys. So just we have the key capability that we have to develop, and along with there are some few KPIs that we have to take care of. Thank you guys. Thanks, and we are open for question.
Thank you, team. The jury may go forth with the questions now.
Okay, so thank you. A lot of uses of statistical models in your presentation is what I liked. The question is exactly on the corollary. How will you explain the statistical model to people in the business and take them on your side? Or do you foresee it only to be done by HR?
Maybe the voice was not that good. Can you repeat the question again? Sorry for that.
Repeat my question. So you have used a lot of statistical models and employee engagement scores to decide actions. How do you explain this to the business managers so that the actions can be, they are aligned on the actions? Or do you foresee this as a project entirely driven by HR end to end?
Yes, sir. So the first and very most question to answer is that we foresee that this entire project is to be run by the HR managers itself and not the other teams, because the models that are to be built, we already have the models, the third party suppliers who provide us with these models. We just have to input the data. There is some subjective data like you see in the active and the passive ONA, the data that we take, we feed into the system. So the stats part that we are talking about is going to be taken care of by the model that we have, the third party models that we have, or the model that we want to build. The first thing. And the second thing, when we are going to talk to the business manager, sir, the most important thing that we really understood when we went through all the solutions was currently there is a lot of focus on subjective aspects of HRs, wherein there's a lot of subjectivity. That's why we are bringing in data to bring in that objectivity, so that we can we can more concretely focus on the solutions that we have on our mind.
So adding on to that, what you have asked. So in that case, when we give up this opportunity to to build these models to business managers, so there will be biasnesses. So if you give this task to HR, so the biasnesses can be removed.
So one hand is the biasness, perceived biasness in your mind about business. The other hand is ownership of business. Do you believe that without ownership of business, such a massive change management is possible to be done only by HR?
Definitely not, sir. We would be needing help from all these business managers, because the data that we are going to collect is from this business heads only. Because without their support, the data collection will be hugely problematic, and also the output that we are generating, we need to link those outputs to our business outcomes. And how to link those outputs, that need to be qualitatively analyzed with the help of our business managers.
Renu.
Yeah, so while as CHROs, you both would be, working maybe in a few weeks on the problem prioritization or using the statistical model to understand the problem. But I would say that as CHRO, what will be your first step to tell to the employees, while you on the back office or wherever you are working on those statistical models? How will you ensure that employees are ready for being, I'm just accepting your data analysis and things like that?
So while building these models also, the first thing that we came across was the risk and the challenges were the data privacy. So a lot of employees would be hesitating to, to share this personal data that we have asked. Like, what are the, so when you feel low, who do you go to? So when we ask these questions, at that time, people will be hesitating to answer. So to clear those things, first thing that as a CHRO that you need to do is you need to clearly communicate the objective of doing such analysis. So what is your objective doing such analysis? What you need to clear cut to them key. So this is why we are doing it. We want to do it to overall improve our business outcome. We want to do it to overall increase your engagement score. We want to do it to overall increase your performance score. So this is what our objective is, so that people can be able to share their data.
So basically, what we mean is, ma'am, just to clear communication, so that even they understand it's for their well-being and as well as the company's well-being. We all need to grow, because travel across, if you see, people are also facing some issues related to the future of the organization. So they just have to understand that we all are into this, and if they can share this with us, and we can build models which are very concrete, and according to a report, we can also let them know. Deloitte had conducted a report wherein they said that 32% of the Indian global MNC global organizations, they want to use this model to know more about employees, and based on that decide their actions that they want to take. So this is something very concrete data that we have, ma'am.
So you suggested a lot of models. So suppose we consider time as a resource. If time is a constraint, which one particular model would you like to refer?
Yeah, definitely, man. So active ONA and passive ONA, if you compare, active ONA, it involves lot of data taking, through service from each and every employee. So it is going to take a lot, it is going to consume a lot of time. So instead of that, what a lot of organizations are focusing on is, building their capabilities on passive ONA, because a lot of the systems are using digital tools now. So if you see systems, most of the systems use emails, most of the systems use Zoom, most of the systems use Slacks. So this systems can be integrated into our ONA platform, so that to collect those data, collect those relationships between those individuals easily. And that data collection times is very low compared to the active ONA.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone.
Thank you, team, for your
Opportunity
presentation.
for us to participate here. Thank you.
Now, I would request the fifth team, HR Rhythm Divine from XIM University, to come on the stage and begin with their presentation. All the best, team.